How about now? I just restarted it.
Shows you're live now, yeah.
It does show I'm live now?
Yeah.
God, I hope it's not because of the way we move the computer. Now, maybe something over here is like interfering. Well, no, because it's hardwired.
Yeah. I think we lost internet for a second.
Huh. That's never happened since we moved here.
Yeah.
Hi, video game lover. Sorry about that. We temporarily lost signal for a minute there. I don't know what happened there.
Good thing I caught it.
Thank you. Yeah, because it was showing me live, and I was just talking away. You were out of power for a day. Oh, because of the hurricane? We didn't get anything here in Texas. We didn't get any rain, no wind, no nothing. Hi, Shadow Deist. I was streaming, but something interrupted my internet signal, and it cut off the stream, so I don't know what happened there. But I'm back. And I don't... it never showed on my screen that it disconnected. It never showed on my screen that it was disconnected. So I just talked, and I have no idea how long I was talking before the stream cut off. So I don't know how much of what I said needs to be repeated. But what's good, 7th? We lost you for a bit. Chris, what was the last thing you heard me say? Let me know where it cut off. We're in Texas. I live in Temple. Hey, 7th, I've been playing Stellar Blade pretty good. Nice. Let me know what was the last thing you heard me say, Chris, before my internet cut off. That way I'll know what I have to repeat. I was wondering why I was almost 10 minutes into the... You lasted 2 minutes. Oh, crap. That means pretty much nothing that I said. Pretty much nothing that I said. Made it through. So, great. Great. All right. So, I came across some extra funds that I didn't know I had access to. And so I thought, what the hell? 8th really wants a PS5 Pro for Christmas because he thinks it'll help improve the performance of his PSVR 2. So I thought, well, we'll use this to at least try to get him one. So he stayed up that morning, and he got one very easily. And I thought, well, maybe I'll try to get myself one too. And it wouldn't add it to cart. You know, it showed it available, but it wouldn't add it to cart, and I got real mad, and I posted about it on Twitter. And way later in the day, like at 6 p.m., 8th came down and said, well, maybe it was that you were just trying to use your phone, and he got on this computer, and he scored me one because they weren't sold out. The only one that has sold out is the 30th anniversary. The regular PS5 Pro is still available on there right now. You can still go get it because nobody wants one. But here's the thing. After I came across that extra stream of money that I didn't know I had access to and got me an 8th PS5 Pros, I usually take my showers either in the morning or the mid-afternoon, but it was late that night, and I thought, you know what, I'm just going to go ahead and take my shower now. And I go into the laundry room to get me a towel, and the laundry room smells kind of musty. And there's a weird noise coming from the garage. So I go out in the garage, and I follow the noise to where it is, and there's water spraying up out of the top of my water heater. Like the water tank had ruptured and water was spraying everywhere. Well, I don't know anything about plumbing. I don't know anything about handyman type stuff. So of course I asked 8th to come downstairs because he don't know any of that either. But he is quite good at Google. And he's still, in shape enough where he can, unlike myself, climb up and down on a ladder. So he looked up on Google how to shut off a water heater, and he climbed up there on a ladder and cut off the water source, release the pressure valve to let all the pressure out of it. And I called a 24-hour plumber here in town, and the next day they came out. They were very efficient, very helpful, but whereas it only cost $500 to replace the water heater, once he added in shipping the water heater over here, the delivery of it, replacing all the pipes and the tubes because the pipes and tubes had ruptured, sealing off an exhaust port that led to the outside of the house that wasn't supposed to be done that way anymore. It's illegal. They made it illegal like 10 years ago. He sealed that off. By the time all the labor and everything had been put in, it was almost $3,000. So I'm now almost $3,000 poorer than I was a couple of days ago. And if I hadn't have bought me an 8th those Pros went the way I did, that money could have been moved to at least paying for half of that. But I didn't really have it anyway, so I had to finance the water heater. So I'll have to, just make monthly payments on it until I get to my the end of March when I get my annual bonus. And I'll just pay that debt off with the annual bonus, which also means it's going to take me that much longer to be able to afford to get the multicade because I picked out the one I want. I mean, you can get them that are up to $10,000 in cost that are very, very fancy and very, very, nice looking with their own lights and all this other stuff on them. They have PCs in them, big, powerful PCs with big, stereo, massive speakers with subwoofers and all that. And I've just decided that I'm going to go with a company called the Arcade Guys. They make a 55-inch one that when you throw in tax and delivery, it costs me about $3,500. And it doesn't have a big PC in it. It runs off of the latest Raspberry Pi, the latest Raspberry Pi unit, which are pretty powerful. I mean, more than enough power to run the old arcade games that I would be playing on it. And it comes with light guns and all the little bells and whistles I'd want. So that's what I'm going to do. I just got to save up the $3,500 it's going to cost to do that. So as far as the game house tour, everything is almost done, as you can see. 8th helped me rearrange you'll notice my angle is a little bit different. 8th finally helped me rearrange all of this to the way that I wanted it. So I've got you right here in the corner. I've got secondary monitor here that I can put stuff on, and then over here is my gaming monitor for my Polymega. It's already hooked up to the Elgato, so I should be able to start streaming with this if I want to do some like retro streaming. Y'all let me know if y'all would like to watch me stream old games. I can do that now. You'll notice I've got black lights set up shining on that set of shelves. I got black light for the retro area in the back, so all of that lights up. There's actually black light here that you can't see. I've got a little wall hanging, gaming related wall hanging, and 8th set up some black light strips on either side that's lighting it up, but of course you can't see that. And right behind me on this side, right there, next to the shelves, that's where the new multicade is going to go when I can afford to purchase it. But you'll be able to see the blacklight stuff better once the sun goes down. This is Texas. The sun is still up. 8th still has a couple more things that he wants to do upstairs before we're ready to do the game house tour. He's got a couple of things he wants to do left in his game room, and I think he has a few more decorative things he wants to do in his PC gaming room before he wants to show all that off. So we're almost ready. I'm thinking maybe we post that on Halloween night, post the game house tour on Halloween night. If it wasn't for the fact that we're going to have trick-or-treaters, I would even suggest live streaming it through my phone. But the video quality wouldn't be good. The phone records good quality, but it doesn't stream very well. So probably just videotape, not videotape it, but record it, edit it, and post it as a video on Halloween night. What else? What else? There's going to be a new Sarge video. I'm hoping to get it posted either Monday or Tuesday. It will be a review of the new indie Contra-like known as Iron Meat. Justin Silverman of Retroware. I don't know if Screenwave Media still exists or not, but he used to work for Screenwave Media. I don't know if that's still a thing, but he gave me a review code for it, and specifically asked that Sarge review it. So, Sarge is going to review it. Well, I hope you guys like it. Sarge has not made a video in a long time. Sarge might be a little bit rusty, you know what I'm saying? But hopefully y'all like it. Won't be a super long video because Sarge usually gets right to the point on these kind of things. But I hope and he hopes that you will enjoy the video. Anyway, that's pretty much it as far as prepackaged topics I wanted to cover. So the rest of the show, as always, is free for y'all to ask questions. Now you'll notice now that we're at this angle, you can see I have my pinball machine right next to me that kind of acts as a wall to corner off my little gaming area of my game room. And right here you can see the black light from the strips is actually reacting to the buttons on my my guitar effects pedal. So that's pretty nifty. That's pretty nifty. I'm not going to put anything on this wall. I'm going to leave this wall blank to hang additional action figures as I purchase them, because I'm kind of running out of room everywhere else. I have a whole ton of movie posters that I have not hung up because, at least as for down here, I've run out of places to hang them because the walls are mostly taken up with shelves. The only place I can hang more posters is over the TV, and I would need to get up on a ladder to do that, and we don't have a ladder that tall. So that might be something that maybe my buddy Brian could come over and help with one day in the future, because he has a big tall ladder like that and I don't. So anyway, let's see what let's see what we got going on here as far as questions go. Can you upload an MP3 of your old intro song? My old intro song. You mean the one that was like more heavy? That sounded more like a metal song as opposed to an 80s hair metal song? The one that sounds like an 80s hair metal song is the one that I use in my most recent videos. The original one is the one that I used with my my old channel before I switched to 7th Level Reviews. I don't know if I have an MP3 of that or not. I don't know. I can look, but I can't say for sure, Marie. 8th should make a channel. He doesn't feel as natural in front of the camera as me. I don't know why that is. He's not as extroverted as I am. I mean, he used to be more interested in being on film when he was a kid, but as he got older, he kind of lost interest in it, and he's never really wanted to do much in the way. He'll show up in my videos every now and again, like during the game room tours, but that's pretty much it. That's pretty much it. I mean, we've done a few videos together, like we did the Xbox review, the Xbox Series X review, and the PS5 review, and I think he would be willing to do stuff like that, like sit at his desk and we do a split screen and have conversations. I think he'd be willing to do that. And at one point we had discussed setting up dual desks up in the game room area, or his PC game area, and doing the 7thCast as a both him and me show, but that kind of fell apart. So he and I have differing schedules, and so that would be kind of hard to pull off, especially as far as like his work schedule and things like that go. So let's see here. Well, no, Shadows Gaming Channel. The PS5 Pro isn't going to sell like the regular PS5, mainly because of its cost, but the average person out there doesn't really understand the difference between the two. Uh, they don't see the benefit of paying the extra. Yeah, if they discontinued the regular PS5 and replaced it with the Pro at the same price, it'd sell like hotcakes. But of course, they're not going to do that because that would be too much of a negative hit, too much of a subsidy to have to overcome. Let's see here. What happened to the stream earlier? My internet cut out. My internet died, which is not common. My internet here is usually pretty solid. Pretty solid indeed. And very, very rare for our internet to dip. And it's never dipped in the middle of a stream before. That's a first. So, not sure what happened there. Did you switch? Your setup looks different. Yeah, I was seated this way with the camera. I have one of those L-shaped desks, and I was seated on this side of the L facing this way, and so you had a straight shot view down to the retro area behind me. But we rearranged everything so that I'm sitting in the corner of the desk with my hands, having access to the L, this side of the L and this side of the L. This is the way I wanted it to be, and when we initially moved here, and 8th helped me rearrange. So I finally have it the way I want it, and now you can get a little bit more of an idea of the scale of the room and the shape of it and whatnot. Right behind me, you can see the additional shelves that we finally picked up and got the black lights set up for them. What you can't see is there's a black light rug right in front of them of like a kind of a cyberpunk chick. Has kind of almost an anime look, and you'll see that in the game room tour. And you can see the steps going up to 8th's half of the house. I have the first floor. 8th has the second floor. Now, right here on the other side of this wall is the kitchen, and then down that way is a hallway that leads to the garage and a half bath and my master bedroom with the master bath, which I only use for taking showers. I don't sleep in there because I can't sleep on a bed. My back is too messed up. I sleep in that recliner back there that has a pillow sitting on top of it right there. That's where I sleep every night, people, because my back is too messed up to sleep on a bed. Even when I stay in a hotel, I have to ask for extra pillows, and I stack them up the back end of the bedboard of the bed, and I sleep in a sitting position, reclined on those pillows because of my back. And so my bedroom is pretty much now just used for storage and as a guest room in case anyone wants to stay over. There's no gaming stuff in there or anything. It's just like a little twin bed with a 50-inch TV set up for anyone that wants to stay over and stay the night. That's pretty much it. One day I might, if it becomes obvious that we're not going to be getting a lot of company that wants to spend the night, I might turn that into like game room number 2. If we get to the point where we need more game storage, I'll just line the walls with shelves and maybe move this eventually. Maybe move this in there and turn that into like the streaming room, like what I had at the old house, and just put up a bunch of shelves around it with this desk in the corner, and then this can be even more shelves. You hear that noise? That's the ice maker in my new $1,300 refrigerator I had to buy when I moved in here, because we were supposed, it came with a refrigerator, and once the power was restored after the hurricane tornado that almost destroyed this neighborhood missed us, that refrigerator didn't work, and they were not going to replace it. So I had to pay $1,300 for a new refrigerator. So I've already had to spend a whole bunch of money that I wasn't planning on having to spend when I moved here. So it's been interesting. been an interesting few months. No, I do not gamble, Shadow Hood. I do not gamble. Hi, Stevie boy. We would love to see you stream old games, 7th. Make it happen. We'll see about that. Looks like you got a pretty nice house, at least from what I can see. Yeah, well, it's 2,300 square feet. It was $294,000, which that included all the. I got them to pay the closing costs, so I didn't have to pay the closing costs on it. But I have had to have the air conditioner repaired, and now I've had to shell out $3,000 to replace the water heater. Had to shell out $1,300 to replace the refrigerator. There's a couple of things I'd like to get done. The cabinets in the bathrooms and in the kitchen are of a kind of a plain brown wood grain, and I don't like that. I want to repaint them to have more of a dark gray shade to match the floors and everything. They're just too bright for the rest of everything that's in the house. And but I don't know anything about repainting cabinetry, so I'm going to have to look that up and find out what we need. And no sense in paying somebody to do it. We'll just do it ourselves once we teach ourselves how to do it. But other than that, I mean, it's got solar panels on the roof, but they don't provide power for the house. They're basically used to store up electricity and pay it back into the grid, and that is deducted from my bill. But they don't, according to my bill, they don't draw hardly anything. I mean, they're all over the roof of this house. Almost the whole roof is covered with these solar panels. But at the end of the month, they pull in maybe 500 kilowatt hours of electricity, and so by the time they don't pay, the electric company doesn't pay me full price for that. They pay me half of what I pay for a kilowatt hour, and so by the time everything is said and done, it's only saving me maybe $25, $30 a month on my electric bill, when they made it sound like it was going to cut my bill in half. So if I were you and someone's trying to talk you into buying solar panels for your roof, don't listen to them. Ignore them. It's a ripoff. Now maybe that solar roof thing that Elon Musk and Tesla are doing, maybe that would be something if it wasn't for the fact that it costs $150,000 to do it to your house. Now imagine here in Texas paying $150,000 to turn every tile of your house into a solar panel to power your entire house, and then a derecho or a tornado comes through and rips a bunch of your ceiling tiles off. How much you think it's going to cost to replace that? Because I guarantee you, your homeowner's insurance is not going to cover turning your roof into a $150,000 solar panel. They're not going to do that. So, that ain't going to succeed unless Texas start some kind of program where they will pay to turn everybody's roof into a solar panel. And so then no one has an electric bill. Yeah, but I don't see that happening either. Anyway, let's catch up. I can see your front door. Are you okay with that? Well, y'all saw my front door a lot when I lived in Charlotte. You saw my front door in videos and all sorts of things. What are you going to learn from seeing my front door? What are you going to learn from that? Have you bought candy for the trick-or-treaters? Not yet. How do you feel about gaming resellers? They're okay. They're there to make a living like everybody else. I think there are some negative aspects to it. It tends to keep the prices from going down, even though, the trend is that retro is moving forwards in time as things go on. Like supposedly interest in the NES is not as big as interest in N64 and going into PS1 and stuff like that now, because those generations are starting to get nostalgic. But I'm not seeing a tremendous drop in prices of NES games because the resellers keep them high. Now, I have friends that are resellers. I have friends that run game stores. And, it's like I've said before, you find out you find the best local store in town, you establish a good rapport and a relationship with the owner, and if you're fair with them and you bring them your business, they will be fair with you, and they will haggle, and they will negotiate price instead of you just paying whatever's on the sticker. I found that to be true with every locally owned game store I've ever gone to. I haven't tried it around here because all there is here, there's one local store, and I don't know them very well, and the other local store is part of a chain. They're part of the game exchange, and they're not going to haggle. And never mind the fact when we went in there, they didn't hardly have anything anyway. They had hardly nothing. Did I buy candy? No, I haven't bought candy for the trick-or-treaters yet. Thanks, Smith. 7th, you would never put one of us in a cameo in your Sarge videos, would you? Do you think Sarge would give Ultra Steel a cameo? No, because Ultra Steel, if you tried to E-Ninja dox me and come over to my house unannounced, Sarge would probably make sure that you walked away with a limp. And that's not specific to you, Ultra Steel. That's specific to anybody. Sarge likes his privacy, showing up, if you're invited, that's one thing. Showing up at a gaming convention to meet me or meet Sarge, that's another thing. But not just showing up at the house, no. You're doing great, 7th. Keep it up, man. You to 8. Shadow. Have you ever gone back to a video game you were stuck on as a kid that noticed you could absolutely obliterate it? That's happened a couple of times. I can't remember the specific games. 7th, I just started playing Zelda's new game. Pretty good and fun so far. Recommend it. Maybe I'll get it for 8th for Christmas. Hello, 7th. Herbert from overseas. Good to see you. Hello, Herbert. How's it going? Sup, 7th. Thoughts on Luigi's Mansion 3? We have it. Haven't played it. 8th has it upstairs. He does more of the Switch thing that I do. I have a Switch Lite. It's sitting back there on that shelf back there. It's hardly ever turned on. Will your back get fixed? Not likely. I'm going on 50 years old, and I don't feel confident in going under the knife to have surgery, so I'm probably just going to live with it. Hi, Mr. Skills. Thoughts on Metroid Prime? Great series, but, not my favorite. I prefer classic 2D Metroid. 7th, do you think Nintendo is scared of Astro Bot's success? Not at all. You think Nintendo's going to file patents against it? I highly doubt it, and the reason being is because there have been multiple Astro Bot games at this point that all have similar mechanics, and Nintendo hasn't cared. And there have been 3D platformers that have been made for decades that borrow from Mario in one form or another, and Nintendo has never taken action on it. So, no, I don't think there's any fear of Nintendo trying to sue Sony over Astro Bot. Got Astro Bot from GameStop. It kicks ass. So much fun. Also scored a PS5 30th anniversary controller. Nice. What? You don't gamble? Come on, man. Have a little fun. No, I do not gamble. I have a naturally addictive personality. That's why I do not probably inherited genetically from my father. That is why I do not drink. I finally managed to kick everything, so I'm not smoking cigarettes and I'm not vaping anymore. But it would be a very easy thing for me to have just a really bad day and go out and buy a pack of cigarettes, and I'd be right back at it all over again, like I'd never quit. So I have to be very careful about that sort of thing. I don't even like going into a Dave & Buster's, because I can walk into a Dave & Buster's and walk out $1,000 poorer like that, because I lose track of how much I've spent, and I just keep buying more points because I'm wanting to, win some prize that I could get, just at the store for 1/20th of what I'm spending to try to win it. So, no. No, no gambling for this man. No. No, 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 no. How do you do a roof replacement with solar panels all over your roof? Very carefully, I'd guess. The owners of this house replaced the roof maybe 4 years ago. They did that before having the solar panels put in. So I've got practically a new roof and relatively new solar panels on top of them. And for some reason, my camera's having, I think it's because the sun is starting to go down and it's shining light through there and it's messing with the sunlight is shining right into the camera, and that's making it to where it's having a hard time focusing. I think that's what's going on. But, the sun will be down in another little bit, and then we won't have to worry about that. What up with my homeboy? Hi, Big Ups. How's it going? I didn't do solar panels for this reason. Thanks for my confirmation bias 7th. Screw paying 150 grand. Yeah. I think solar panels are unnecessary. Well, there are companies all over Texas that tell people this will reduce your electric bill by 50%. The electric company will buy solar power from you, and they do. But these solar panels do not soak up near as much as these companies claim they will. So I'm getting, $20, $30 off a month. Now, when your electric bill is $230 a month, how much is $30 off, really? It ain't half. Well, there went my tea. I'm thirsty tonight. Let's see. Hi, 7th. Greetings from the Netherlands. As you know, I've followed you for years since the Xbox 360 came out. Hope you're good and healthy, my friend. Thanks for still watching. Appreciate you. Netherlands. What Netherlands? Wait a minute. Were you the one who thought I was a wizard or a warlock and that I had magic powers? Or are you a different guy from the Netherlands? Oh, tell me you're that guy. Anal Nathlak, Uthbas Bithud. Doth yield envy. Anyway, I think when everything is all digital subscription, every game but Madden's going to pop off in price. You're probably not wrong, because then they can charge you whatever they want. Did you watch the Vince McMahon Netflix doc? Yeah, I didn't think much of it, but then again, the majority of it was filmed before the real serious allegations came out about him. So it was mostly just a puff piece talking about, how he built WWE more than anything else. Most of the stuff that was in there was stuff that, as a longtime fan, I already knew. Thoughts on Mega Man X2? I never really got into the X series as much as the original series. When it comes to Mega Man X, Black Bond is much more of a fan of it than I am, so if you had questions about Mega Man X, you probably want to talk to him. Yeah, there's sunbeam coming right into my face. That's why all of a sudden I got so much brighter, because there's sun coming in through the crack of that window. Shining right into this. That's annoying. I'm going to have to adjust that curtain so that gap isn't there. Let's see here. Sarge, don't play around. You're right. Did you like the film The Strangers? No, that kind of stuff is not what I go looking for when I'm in the mood for a horror movie. Sarge doesn't like cold calls. This is true. 7th, have you seen anything on that creepy guy, Smart School? Yeah, I've seen a couple of the videos about him. He's a creeper, all right. Why do people compare Little Big Planet to Astrobot? Because it was a mascot-based platformer. That's pretty much it. What was the reason the Sega Dreamcast failed? We've been over that too many times, Nicholas. And I'm sure you've been present for the streams that I talked about it on. there's multiple reasons. There wasn't any one particular reason. The main thing is that the Dreamcast was too little too late. It was suffering from the hubris of the Saturn reputation and whatnot. They allowed PlayStation to get their foot in the door, and so, no matter how good the Dreamcast was, it wasn't going to be able to stand up against a PS2 that was more powerful, had a bigger library, and had built-in DVD. It just wasn't going to happen. Never mind the fact that despite it coming out after the advent of the DualShock, it still only had one analog stick, which made it automatically inferior when it came to 3D games anyway. Have you seen Snowfall, the TV show? No. Thoughts on pretzels? I like pretzels. I like the ones where you can dip them in a vanilla icing. I like the sugary ones. Like cinnamon, and you dip them in icing. Which, of course, I'm diabetic, so that's why I don't eat pretzels these days. Only game I care about is that 2K. As long as I can play that, I'm good. I'm living in that paint all day working on my jumper. Okay. Seventh, which is the best Metroid? Halo or Killzone? Oh, Lord. It's going to be one of those nights, isn't it? What's some cool stuff you've won at a Dave & Buster's back when you went there? I won a leather carrying bag black leather carrying bag. I ended up using it to hold my PS2 when I'd go on road trips. I won shirts, jackets, a DVD player, a couple of Xbox 360 games, ashtrays, whiskey glasses, all sorts of stuff, I had like a whole living room worth of Dave & Buster's shit at one point. Seventh, are you getting tired of Astrobot questions? I have some more questions for you regarding a notice we have asked you a bit about it often. Want to make a bet? I bet you won't ever gamble again. That's a stupid question since I said I don't gamble. Given the size of your game collection, would you say you are or were at any point addicted to video games? No, it's just an interest, a hobby. Something to pass the time on my long road to oblivion. Just something to stave off the monotony, something to divert my attention from the world. That's all it is. I've gone months and months at a time without playing a video game or without purchasing one. So no, I'm not addicted to video games and never have been. Is Astrobot an easy plat? Well, that depends on how good you are at platforming, because some of those challenge levels are pretty challenging. I had a solar panel guy knock on my door a few weeks ago. They were relentless and wouldn't take no for an answer. Yeah. Roof inspectors will do that too. They'll come to your house and they're like, oh, it only take us 15 minutes. And I've already had three companies come by and inspect the roof. It's fine. Yeah, but we have drones and we can do this, blah, blah, blah. Please, come on, man. Be a buddy. If you let us inspect, then we can go home after you. They'll try anything. And then they'll hound you with emails. Nope, it's not you. Well, I guess he remains elusive then, and you're just one of my other fans from the Netherlands. PS4 is over 10 years old now. I'm old. You're not as old as me. Yes, somebody from the Netherlands thought that I was a warlock and that I was using my power to manipulate people on YouTube. Hey, Seventh, do you like Mega Man Legends? I don't think I ever played it more than maybe 2 times. I don't think I ever actually owned that one. I played it at a friend's house. Dave Jaffe, creator of God of War, found Astrobot to be too hard. I guess the challenge levels were too... Well, if you watch that video, it's one of the challenge levels that he keeps dying on. So I guess that's what happened there. I hate when people blame Sony for the Dreamcast failure. Well, I mean, it's definitely a factor. It's not the only factor. It's mostly Sega's own fault. Didn't help matters that they tried to partner with Microsoft, and Microsoft stole so much of their concepts and business practices for the creation of the Xbox. The Xbox was effectively the Dreamcast 2. Or the Dreamcast 1.5, if you would. So, any of you that just wishes that you had a new shiny Dreamcast, just go buy an Xbox. That's what it is. When's the last time you met a fan in public? Has it been localized to cons? I'm not sure I understand your question, Bill. The last time I met a fan in public was at Retropalooza. In fact, that's the only time I ever meet fans in public, is if they come to Retropalooza and see me there. That being said, I haven't been to Retropalooza at all this year, and I won't, because, especially not now, because I'm $3,000 poorer. I don't have the money for the gas. I don't have the money for the food. I don't have the money to buy anything while I'm there, and I don't have the money for the hotel. And I'm not popular enough to where, to be a paid guest, to be there, sitting there signing autographs with, Boogie 2988. I'm not that big, guys. You know that. Small niche audience. Maybe back in 2015, I would have been popular enough for that, but not now. Jay's a businessman. He's not going to pay for somebody's room and board that ain't going to make him money. And nobody's going to pay to go into a con to meet me. Seventh, thoughts on Dean Malenko. Excellent ring skills, horrible on the mic. Had no personality for cutting promos at all. Hear about the new bill in California to call digital games, not to say purchase, and say you don't own them physical every day, folks. Yeah, they're trying to force companies like Sony and Microsoft to state that when you buy games online, you don't actually own them, you've just licensed them. Like it's a long-term rental, basically. Thoughts on Jak and Daxter? I love the Jak and Daxter series. I felt it lost a little bit of its identity when they started including guns in it, because then it just felt like they were trying to copy Ratchet and Clank. Your thoughts on the PS5 Pro price? I don't think it's an unfair price, at least in the States, because it's got the equivalent, power-wise, it's got the equivalent of like not quite like a 7800 or whatever for AMD, but in that general realm. I mean, Digital Foundry said it was similar to a 4070 in power. But it's going to have ray tracing capabilities that the AMD cards that are of equivalent power don't have yet. But, Eighth spec'd it out. He built out what it would take to build a PC with the same power as the PS5 Pro, and not including labor if you paid somebody to build it for you, but just buying the parts, it was about $1,100, So, $500 more than what the Pro would get you. Now, obviously, you're also getting the full functionality of a PC with that as well, which the PS5 Pro doesn't have. So I think, $700 is a fair price insofar as the power of the system, right? However, there's also what you will get out of it. And as of right now, there's only been 55 games that have been announced to be getting an optimization patch for the Pro. 55. And then, of course, it will boost any games that have an unlocked frame rate. So it's going to be like the PS4 Pro. The vast majority of what you have on the shelf won't support the power boost because companies are not going to go back and patch it in. But, I always prefer to have the most powerful version of the hardware or the best version. So that's why I've always, had the original model and then had the slim model or whatever. And in the case of PS4, I had the original model, got the Pro, never got the slim because I just never needed it. I wouldn't mind having one just to set it on the shelf and never turn it on. But I'm not in any rush to get that. So, we already have the disk drives for it. So it's just a matter of, November 7th, we'll get them, pop the drives on. I'll let 8th have his as an early Christmas present instead of making him wait for it. He's an adult. He knows it came from me and not Santa Claus. At least I hope he knows that. 7th, what did you think of the Midnight Walk trailer that was shown at Sony's State of Play? I must have not thought much of it. I don't even remember it. Are you ready for a 6-hour podcast? I've got a feeling, but then again, it might just be gas. Ain't nobody gonna donate enough for me to do a 6-hour podcast tonight. What's your favorite movies that you have on physical media? V for Vendetta, 4K special edition. We've got the Dark Knight trilogy on 4K. We've got the Mummy trilogy on 4K. I have Van Helsing on 4K. Oh, I love 4K. It's just we went all digital for the longest time and just gave up on it, and we're only now starting to reinvest in 4K. 8th is going to be getting a number of 4K movies for Christmas this year because it's a lot cheaper than buying him a bunch of games, which I can't really afford. He'll get a few games, but it's mostly going to be 4Ks and maybe a couple of records this year because, the PS5 Pro took up more than what I intended to be his entire Christmas budget this year. Usually I spend a little over $1,000 on him every year for Christmas. It ain't going to happen this year, folks. This whole move has kicked my ass. It's kicked my ass. I'm going to have to get a few raises before I fully recover from this thing. Because, I make a fair living, but $2,740 a month takes a big chunk out of it. Big chunk. 7th, do you think we'll get an Astrobot and Little Big Planet crossover? I don't know. That was one. I don't think I remember seeing a Sackboy Astrobot in Astrobot, which is kind of interesting. I don't think I saw one. 8th might correct me on that. What's your favorite rap song? Sure Shot by the Beastie Boys. Are you familiar with the Optimus Prime origin story? Yes. I'm familiar with multiple origin stories for Prime. I'll take that response as you don't mind more Astrobot questions. I've been playing at 7th, and would you agree that each course is innovative and the game's always changing? Well, of course it's always changing because you have different levels require you to use different special abilities to make it through them. Can't wait to finally play a Zelda game as Zelda. Been my dream for so long. That's my okay. Well, all right then, big ups. If you were a warlock, what would you use your powers for? To enhance the magic powers I already have. Do you think it's stupid that certain people blame video games for... Yes. Microsoft stole a lot of ideas from Sega, absolutely. Because Microsoft, before there was an Xbox, before there was even talk of an Xbox, they partnered with Sega on the creation of the Dreamcast, and even licensing a specialized version of Windows CE to go in the Dreamcast that ended up being barely used. And while partnering with them, basically learned everything that they could about how the console business worked, and then lo and behold, here comes the Xbox. And why? Because they wanted to put Sony out of business. That's why. How much time do you give this AI craze to die? Oh, it's not going to die. Thoughts on Chavo Guerrero? I mean, he's okay. He's an okay wrestler. He doesn't exactly... He didn't... he never really set the world on fire for me. Makes sense, 7th. I definitely appreciate you getting more exposure. I heard people talk about you in other chats, so that's pretty cool. Well, I think you're referring to, Solid Rev name dropping me in that video that he did with Black Bond, and it was basically about how I'd done a video series about the history of the Trey Brotherhood, but nobody cares about that anymore. He wasn't saying the video series wasn't good. He was just saying there's so few people that are still around from that era that still have any interest in what happened to it, that it's not like that documentary series was going to set the world on fire. So he wasn't wrong. I can't believe people want to meet Boogie. Well, yes, they do. They come and he signs autographs and has a little panel and stuff. Have you ever watched the Ratchet and Clank versus Jack and Daxter? No. It's a lot of money, especially if you already bought a PS4. Well, yeah, but I bought a PS5 4 years ago. 4 years ago. And I don't know about y'all, but my PS5 stays on a large chunk of every day because I don't just use it for gaming. It's my streaming center. That's what I stream Netflix and Disney Plus and YouTube and everything else through. It's my entertainment one-stop shop, And so it's probably getting close to where it needs to take a break anyway. So when the Pro gets here, we'll open up our PS5s, clean all the dust out of them, and then put them in their boxes and stick them on the shelf, on display, out in the garage, because we have to buy more shelves to go out there, because I don't have any shelving left to put our console boxes on display. Oh, and that's another thing. I've suffered a loss, everybody, and I'm kind of torn up about it, and I wanted to share with y'all my sorrow. When the water heater exploded, unfortunately, the water got all over the box for my Virtual Boy, and it could not be recovered. So I no longer have a complete in-box Virtual Boy. I only have the unit, which lowered its value by a couple of $100. And I'm beside myself, and I don't know what to do. Anyway, thoughts and prayers, people. Thoughts and prayers. It was good to get that off my chest. When is Switch 2 coming out? I have no idea. Sometime next year is all I've heard. Thoughts on Ghost of Tsushima? It's the best Assassin's Creed style game that Ubisoft didn't make. And it's better than any of the ones that Ubisoft did make. SWO gotta go. Are you implying that 8th is wrong? You better come with your facts if you're going to go against what 8th has to say about it. That's all I'm saying. Hi, Chris. Oh, it looks like 8th already came back on you. I'm slow to catch up. I warned you, though. Does 8th have a greater appreciation for retro gaming than you? Not really. You know, I couldn't tell you the last time I ever saw 8th play an NES game, for example. I think his interest in retro, for the most part, starts at the PS1. You know, he doesn't really seem to care that much about Genesis or anything like that. You know, it all seems to start right around the PS1 and the Saturn. PS1 and the Saturn is pretty much where his interests start. Although he hasn't really asked to play much on Saturn, he goes right to the PS1 and Dreamcast. He's shown an interest in Dreamcast. What letter grade did you give the State of Play? It's kind of a C, and it would have been a D if not for having Ghost of Tsushima as the last trailer. Ghost of whatever. 7th in school, did you ever know any good class clowns amongst your peers? None that were as good as me. Seventh, why do some YouTubers think we're in a video game crash? For those of us who remember the first one, there's a lot of similarities. There's a lot of similarities. And you know, I was a child when it happened. We were talking 1983, so I was like 8, 9 years old when the gaming crash happened. But you know, I remember seeing the effects of it and what was going on. And you know, I see hints of it. I don't know if it's a full-on crash, maybe a gaming recession. 7th, what do you think about people who wipe their ass standing up? Well, maybe they sit on a very small toilet where there's not enough gap there to get their hand down underneath to wipe, so they have to stand up to do it. I don't know. I've never had anybody ask me that before. There is a Sackboy bot. Oh, I don't remember seeing it, but I trust you. At Lord 8th, I heard rumors you were dating an Instagram model. We got some weird comments in the chat tonight, folks. Oh, I almost missed it. We have 2 hours remaining, folks. 2 hours. There have been 0 donations. At Mr. Skills, don't test me. Yes. Much like Happy Fun Ball, it's not a good idea to taunt 8th. The new Transformers movie is projected to be a flop. Why do you think that is? I think it's the trailer. The trailer made it look like Nickelodeon cheesy kitty crap, and that's not what it is. That's not what it is. It's closer in feel to the original Transformers animated movie insofar as the level of violence and the severity of the story. The main thing that breaks that is Keegan-Michael Key as Bumblebee. He plays it a little bit too campy. He's trying too hard to be like the mouth that won't shut up, which that's supposed to be, I guess, in this movie. The irony is that, they kept Bumblebee silent in all the live action movies, but in this, he's like this hyperactive jokester sidekick character that's always yap, 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 yap. And so he's really the only thing that takes you out of the more serious tone of the film, really. But yeah, it's not really a kid's film. I mean, you've got robots being blown up, ripped apart, melted, shot, with big gaping holes that might as well be leaking guts and stuff onto the floor. Yeah, it's very similar to the first film in that regard, the original animated film. But I think because of the way that they marketed it, there was a lot of parents that are like, why should we take our kids to see this when there's CG animated Transformers on TV every day? They made it look too kiddie in the commercials. That's one that's going to find its audience on home video, unfortunately. How close will the PS5 Pro compare to well, we just talked about that already. Do you think Astrobot will become more successful in Little Big Planet? Hard to say. Hard to say. It's hard to really gauge how successful even Little Big Planet was. Really. I mean, it was a media darling, but I wouldn't say that Little Big Planet was a phenomenon outside of gaming or anything. Let's see here. I've heard March 2025 for Switch 2, but who knows? Thoughts on the reveal of Ghost of Yotei? Looks interesting. We'll see. We're having a conversation. Don't get started. I warned y'all about 8th. Game Chasers. Yikes! What are you doing in here, Billy? What are you doing in here? I don't play video games. I'm gonna start doing that on a different stream. Saturday nights is just talking. I'm going to be watching your stream later tonight, son. I'm coming up with a good crappy game for you to have to play. I haven't decided. I have a few in mind, but I haven't centered in on one yet. If I can't make up my mind, I'll just make you play Sword of Sodan again. Yeah. It's coming, Billy. It's coming. Be prepared for it tonight. 7th, did you ever watch the first episode of WCW Nitro when Lex Luger left WWE? Yes, I saw it. I never cared about Lex Luger, so it didn't make that much of a difference to me at the time. 7th, Nintendo need to make a big boy console and stop with these gimmicks. You don't get it, man. They're out of the console business. They left the console business in 2017. Nintendo makes handhelds. And they've just convinced all of y'all that their handheld is a console, and y'all fell for it. That's what happened. They replaced their console business that the Wii U killed with their handheld business that was thriving. And then convinced y'all that their handheld business was their console business, and y'all fell for it. That's what happened. Seventh, if you had another son, do you think it would have been amusing to see him and 8th fighting over a console when 8th was younger? I don't know. We wanted a son and a daughter, but that didn't work out. So I'm happy with the one that I got. I don't think about what if. 7th, I know you said you're not into AEW, but do you think they treated Sting better than what WWE did with him? Yes. WWE, Sting and WWE, not his fault, but it was a joke. So Triple H just used it as a way to prove dominance over the WCW that had been out of business for years at that point. It was kind of stupid and a waste of his talent. Trey for Life, best time on YouTube. You're not wrong. Sony needs to showcase all studios, but they won't. Maybe in November. Maybe I kind of doubt it. They just had too much money invested in the live service thing, and so it's caught them behind. They don't have hardly anything to show. They had Ghost of Tsushima 2 or whatever you want to call it, because that game's been in development for several years. You know. We haven't had anything new from Naughty Dog because they spent so much time on Factions. That's never going to happen now. Shokyo mentioned on X that Transformers 1 is accessible for normies. It is, because it's an origin story. You don't have to know anything about the previous Transformers lore to watch that film. So, yeah. Make Billy play Hannah Montana. I can't make Billy play Hannah Montana because he only does 8 and 16-bit consoles. He doesn't stream PS3, so I can't make him play Hannah Montana. Hey, 7th, why do you think Spider-Man wasn't in PS All-Stars Battle Royale? Probably because they couldn't get licensing for it, for that particular game. Seventh, what do you think about Latina women? Well, you know, having lived in Florida for 10 years, before Eighth and I, or Eighth's mom and I got together, well, let's just say I'm not unfamiliar with the experience. Seventh, thoughts on the Grown-Ups movies. Are they so stupid that they're funny? I liked them okay. I thought they were fun, you know, for what they were. And, you know, I was just the right age for when they came out, so I could relate to them too. Hold on a minute, guys. Somebody is knocking on my door. Hold on, guys. Be right back. Sorry, guys. I'll be with you in a minute. Oh, my Lord. Oh. I tell y'all what. I thought I was being swatted for a minute there. But no swatting. Oh. No swatting. It was the UPS man. I don't know what it is, but it was the UPS man. Whatever it was, he felt that I needed to sign for it. Now, normally, I'd be opening these with my pocket knife, but my pocket knife was apparently moved when all of this was rearranged. So I'm having to open it the old-fashioned way to see what it is. Now, I wasn't expecting anything else, so I don't really know what this is, or this might have been. Could this be from? Oh, this is stuff that I bought from GameFly for 8th for his Christmas, like forever ago, and the stuff just now showed up. Let's see. Should I, since 8th is in here, should I spoil what he's getting for Christmas? Would anybody want to post a donation to see what 8th is getting for Christmas? It's because some of it is stuff that's supposed to be, stuff he actually wants, and some of it is garbage that every year I buy him intentionally some trash to go in his stocking. Just to troll him. Every year I do that. Sometimes I get him like crappy games. Sometimes I get him crappy anime, like cat girl cuties and stuff like that he'll never watch. Who wants me to spoil what 8th's getting for Christmas? I mean, I'm assuming he's still in here. All right, so what are your thoughts on the Yakuza pirate game? I pre-ordered it because it looked fun and funny. I like just about anything with pirates in it, so. Going back to the pre-HD era of the PS1 days where 3D was blocky was a terrible experience for me. How is it for you? It doesn't bother me at all. No, I'm not surprised that Transformers 1 isn't doing well in the box office based on the advertising that they did for it. Did I like Bruce and Evan Almighty? I liked Bruce Almighty. I didn't like Evan Almighty. Is that Santa knocking? 7th got a live solicitor. Be careful, 7th. Grab the shotty. Why no doorbell? Our doorbell is one of those security ones with a camera on it. And I still haven't reactivated. I haven't chosen a security company to take over the security system in this house yet. I'm still looking at the different ones and figuring out which one I want. And so for now, that doorbell doesn't work. So people have to knock on the door. Will you watch Gladiator 2? Sure, but not in the theater. I don't think. Maybe. No, I wasn't swatted. UPS, phew. I don't use GameFly to rent. I use GameFly to buy used games super cheap. Because when you buy a used game from GameFly, they're in the best shape. They're practically brand new, but with the cellophane taken off. If they have a manual, the manual's still in there. The discs have no scratches, no fingerprints, no nothing. And so, usually a few months after a game comes out, I can get it for half of what the original retail price was from GameFly. No, don't spoil it. No, not Hannah Montana. Did you buy Skull Island Rise of... No, I should have. They had it for $20, but I didn't. Don't throw things, 7th. Pick that up. I'll do whatever I want. It's my game room. Damn it. Do you like the Pirates of the Caribbean films? I like the first 3. Yes, everybody go like the stream. Go hit that like button for me. You know. And have pity on poor old Seventh that had to shell out $300 when his water heater blew up. You know, show me some love on the Streamlab, guys. If y'all want to see me do more than a 3-hour stream tonight, anyway. Yeah, we've had inflation, and I'm not as young and healthful as I used to be. My back can't really handle sitting in this chair for long periods, but I do it for the right kind of money. But hey, we're living under Bidenomics, so that means I have to charge more for that. So it's $50 per hour. So if you want an extra hour, everybody's got to get it up to 50. So Chris G, you were asking about a 6-hour stream. That would take $150 for a 6-hour stream. Wait a minute. Oh, magic powers. Sony wants $800 for a console that gets murdered by Sony's own partner. That's crazy. Thoughts on Sonic X Shadow Generations? Haven't played it. Me and 8th will probably go see the Sonic movie because we're like that. But will Astrobot surpass the 10 million units sold standard? No. I think you're probably looking at 4 million tops. I'd like to be surprised, but that's what I think will happen at tops. What's your thoughts on Samoa Joe? He's a good wrestler and he's good on the mic. I don't know what else, but that being said, you guys know I don't regularly watch wrestling anymore and haven't for years. How you like all my black light back there? See my game shelves are glowing? And that cue? Give it that 80s arcade look in here. Yeah. Yeah. I thought about maybe getting some blacklight LED stripping to go along the edges of that little nook there at the front door. I don't know. There's a few more things that we can do, but for right now, I think I'm happy with the way it looks. I think I'm happy with it overall. And then right there, next to those shelves behind me, that's where the multicade will one day go. There's a fake CDI game called RZ. Yeah, it's made to look like there's the crappy Zelda game that was on CDI. It looks funny. When do the sales results come in? I don't know. Would you make a top 100 games of all times list? That would be an awful lot of work for a channel that nobody visits anymore except for 30 of you on Saturday nights. Sony needs competition. If not from Microsoft, someone needs to make a console to compete. Perhaps Amazon. Seventh, do you think the fastest way to get a wife to divorce you is to steal a star from her in Mario Party? No, the fastest way is to pack all of her clothes in a suitcase while she's gone, and then the minute she walks into the door, call a cab and make her sit on the porch and wait for the cab. That's the way. And then, of course, if she doesn't have any money, then she gets to sit and wait in limbo until you have the $1,200 needed to divorce her. That's how it worked for me anyway. Perhaps it could work that way for you. If you ever needed to get divorced, that is. Are you going to watch the Game Awards? Probably. Uh-oh, looks like Lord 8th done blocked somebody else. I told you guys, 8th is the only mod that I have. And you don't do anything to piss off 8th. He will show you the door no matter how long you've been here. So behave yourselves. Because 8th is watching. Not every week, but on the weeks that he's here. Not the week for you guys to be trying to troll the Troll King. No. What do you think about Taylor Swift? as infrequently as possible. 7th, when someone was knocking on your door, it reminds me of that scene in A Christmas Story when the dad gets a fragile box. Oh, fragile. Must be from Italy. Must be Italian. I thought the fastest way to get divorced was to admit to her that you play Dungeons and Dragons. Well, I wasn't playing Dungeons and Dragons at the time, so I can't attest to that. Who 8th blocked? I don't know, but when he says, how about that, and see you next week, that usually means that he silenced somebody. Probably the person he was arguing about the power of the Pro with. They probably said something that 8th found annoying, and so he sent them showed them the door. I was tempted to say Souls games, but then I'd get banned. No, 8th wouldn't ban you for that. I know 8th is kind of an expert when it comes to playing Souls games, but if you were to ask him, he would probably tell you that his favorite genre is survival horror. Can't read their conversation anymore. That means he silenced SWO Go or whoever it was for a week until next week, which SWO Go doesn't show up regularly anyway, so, you know. I didn't see what was said, but at Shadow Deist from 8th, that dude was slobbing on NVIDIA's proverbial knob. Yeah, old 8th. He has a way with words. He should have been a poet. Yeah, I got 8th a whole bunch of Nintendo Switch games. 4 whole Nintendo Switch games. And then 1 PS5 game that's crappy. 1 PS5 game that's really good. 1 PS5 game that's crappy. 1 4K Blu-ray that's really good. Another 4K Blu-ray that's pretty good. And another 4K Blu-ray that's really good. So 3 movies, 3 PS5 games, and 4 Switch games. So that should about do it for all of his Quithmith. Along with a few other odds and ends that I'd already ordered him over time. 7th, what's your favorite game of all time? Legend of Zelda: Link to the Past. 8th sent that guy to the Shadow Realm. Sent him to the Upside Down, yeah. At Nick Neal, Death Stranding, Silent Hill 2, or Death Stranding? At Mr. Skills, I give you a pass, sir. Oh. So how about it, guys? Keep the questions coming. There's 31 people watching, and there's not 31 people asking me questions. So, you know, those of you who are lurking, take an active part. Come on, come in. Ask questions. That's what I'm here for. Your questions is what makes the entertainment of the show, not me. So come on, take part. That's the benefit of being part of a weekly live stream where there's a small audience, because I can actually answer everything that comes in the chat because there's fewer people. There's 31 people here. I can handle that. Come ask questions. Thoughts on the new Zelda Echoes of Wisdom? I haven't played it. I considered maybe getting it for 8th for Christmas, but I don't actually know if he'd want it or not. I'll have to talk to him about it. What do you think about NVIDIA's future products and their AI products? What I've heard about their newest graphics card that's going to take up 700 watts of power, I don't know, man. I don't know. It's starting to sound a little ridiculous. I think they just need to come... I think the actual technology needs to evolve. You know, they need to come up with some way of making smaller, more efficient chips than what they're doing now, because eventually it's going to be untenable. It's going to get to the part where they literally can't make them any more powerful because it would blow out your power grid. Something's got to change. 7th, if you were invited to host the Game Awards, would you do it? How much money does it pay? Do you know who Tyrone Magnus is? If so, what are your thoughts? Tyrone Magnus. Is he that guy that does reaction videos? Like a big black dude that does reaction videos? Is that Tyrone Magnus, or is that a different person? Does reaction videos with like a bookshelf of toys and stuff behind him? Is that who that is? If so, I've seen a couple of his videos. If they made Red Dead Redemption show or movie, do you think Kevin Costner would be good as Dutch? Too old. Too old. 7th, I have a YouTube channel recommendation. RJC Media. He's a game collector and reseller. Well, maybe. 7th, were you yourself a class clown? Yes, I was. I've talked about some of the pranks that I played when I was in high school. What are your thoughts on Donkey Kong Country Tropical Freeze on Switch? We have it, but I haven't played it. I played it on the Wii. Or the Wii U, whichever one it was on. I played that version. I haven't played the Switch version, but we do have it. Do you think PlayStation VR failed? Insofar as sales, absolutely. Insofar as meeting the technical goals of what they set out to do, no, I think it was a success. Somebody already asked me what I thought of game resellers. I have some friends that are resellers. I have friends that own gaming stores. You know, it's a way to make money. Does it make it a little bit harder for guys like me? Yes, but that's why you make friends with the people that run your local stores, and if you give them your business, they will give you the deals. The gentleman that came in here a couple of weeks ago, Gamers Alley, that was my favorite store in North Carolina 7 years ago, and he showed up in here out of the blue and donated $50. Just because he appreciated the customer that I was for him 7 years ago. Get to know your local game store owners and show them your business and your loyalty, and they will return the favor. Yes, Tyrone Magnus is the big, okay, that does the reaction videos. Yeah, I've seen him a few times. Just so weird to me that 4K still isn't fully utilized yet, and it's been around 2010 or 2011. Yeah, now they're talking about 8K, but hardly anyone is really doing 4K yet. Are you interested in watching? I don't really do the death battle thing, Shadow Deist. I appreciate it though. 7th, if you had to make an achievement system on Switch, how would you do it? I would just copy the one that PlayStation uses, but replace the trophies with Nintendo iconography, like just different colors of Mario coins, and the platinum would be the star. Which failed more, PS Move or Wii U? Probably PS Move. Probably PS Move. 7th, if you could, would you go on street corners and protest Neil Druckmann saying that he's the worst thing that's happened to gaming? No. Because I have this platform. I would rather sit here and say it than stand out on a street corner getting all sweaty. I haven't heard Gamers Alley since years ago when you bumped Omega Loser's song in the whip. Yep. We were driving to Gamers Alley, and we were playing his song in the car with the windows rolled down. Drove around in the Walmart parking lot blasting it at rednecks. Yeah. That was fun. And it was his song, you know, I'm rolling in the city of hate. I can't do his voice. But that was the line. I'm rolling in the city of the hate. Sony needs more lighthearted games. Most games for Sony been dark and dreary. Yeah, and even Uncharted, which wasn't dark and dreary, they made it dark and dreary with the fourth one because Druckmann is a hack and that's the only thing he knows how to do. Do you think Uncharted Golden Abyss should be remade? Yes. Do you think the Wii U was really that bad? No, but I mean, it didn't do enough to justify its existence, you know? Most of the games that came out for it didn't properly utilize its little gimmicks and stuff. Do you like Zombieland 2? It's okay. It's not great. It's not the greatest thing I've ever seen, but it was all right. You know, it was passable. We have 35 people watching. We don't have 35 people asking me questions, and we certainly don't have 35 people checking out my Streamlabs or hitting the little gray button with the $sign on it. Don't y'all love me no more? Let's see. You must really hate Druckmann. I am not a fan. What's your thoughts on the PlayStation Vita TV? I have one. Pretty nifty little device, really. It worked pretty good for, I mean, at least for the games that didn't utilize the touch screens, it worked great. But we still have it around here somewhere. In a box somewhere. Gotta keep up my fluid intake, don't you know? 7th, I agree with you that Nintendo should have a trophy system. A massive game with optional choices would really benefit. Well, yeah, it extends the life of the game. It keeps you playing longer. What's your favorite beer to drink when you want to get absolutely... I don't drink. And when I did, it wasn't beer. I drank straight liquor. I drank whiskey. Or I drank rum. You know, Jack Daniels and Parrot Bay. Those are my two favorites. But I don't drink anymore because it's not good for me. I quit smoking. I quit vaping. I quit drinking. Any chance of trash talk like the old days? Who would I trash talk with? Who would I get into debates with? It's all a bunch of shills out there now. You know, MLD don't make videos anymore. He trolls on Twitter. Who am I going to get into debates with? The New Legal? New Legal's my buddy, but, you know. Yeah, he's not about that kind of thing. He's not about the negativity so much. He just hypes his own platform and occasionally takes a dig at Sony on Twitter, but not necessarily goes after individuals like we did back in the Trade Brotherhood days. Do you think the PS Vita was really that bad? Alpha Omega Sin. I never thought the Vita was bad. I loved my Vita. Don't you dare question the great Druckmann. Druckmann is the modern-day Leonardo da Vinci. You're right. I'm viewer 28. What are the odds of us getting another Killzone? Very unlikely at this point. Dang, we're almost up to 40 viewers. Must be something in the water. Which PlayStation 1 games do you want to return? For me, it would have to be Bloody Roar would be a great series to bring back, yes. I mean, I'm not that big into fighting games, but that had potential. That could have worked. Especially today. Will I get banned if I say I like The Last of Us Part 2? Where's my ban button at? Where's my ban button? No, I'm not. I don't give a shit. If you met Neil Druckmann, what would you say to the man who started wokeness in the video? I doubt I'd say anything. I'd probably just, smirk and then hawk a lug in his face. Do you think the Switch will surpass the PS2 soon, or probably next year before the Switch 2 comes out? I don't know. I haven't looked at the numbers lately. El Presidor has Twitter covered for all of us. I didn't know he was still on Twitter. Everyone acting like a brand nowadays. Wish people took more chance. Yeah. That's because everyone's trying to live off of YouTube. I don't try to live off YouTube. I never have. YouTube is a hobby. It's something I do in my spare time. I have a regular job. I've never tried to live off of YouTube. I'd be in rough shape if I did. Any word from General G? He posted on Facebook a couple of days ago. When I first moved here to Texas, he was supposed to meet me at one of the Retro Paloozas, and he got too drunk and hung over to show up. He lives about 4 hours from me. He lives down somewhere around the Houston area. I don't know exactly where, but that's somewhere down in that area. What are your thoughts on the Gravity Rush games? I thought they were very fun and creative. I couldn't get into them. I mean, I appreciated them for what they did, but I didn't care for the gameplay style. When I play games, I beat the campaign and move on. I don't 100% unless I really love it, like Batman. But I will absolutely not go scavenger hunting for collectibles. Well, for some people that appeals to them and some people it don't. I'm someone that I like to get games that have a big open map, and I like to go explore and find hidden stuff. That kind of thing appeals to, my OCD tendencies. Bloody Roar could have rivaled Mortal Kombat. If it done right, sure. I think the negative impact of Shadowfall was the death. Shadowfall strayed too far from what made Killzone. It felt like they were trying to make it Crysis instead. And that was a mistake. That's true. Anyone asking about how much 8th likes Death Stranding, he has the little baby, in the BB or whatever its name. It's tattooed on the back of his left hand right here. I call it his plastic fetus tattoo. If Druckmann called you out for a conversation, would you accept? I ain't afraid of that man. 8th, I'm not saying what you did wasn't justified, but I think you shook up the audience a bit. People are afraid of no one's afraid of commenting. You still remember your very first video where you were smoking a cigarette? Well, yeah, I used to smoke in all my videos because I was a chain smoker, man. I'd smoke 1 to 2 packs a day. Is the minute I would finish one, I'd pull out another one and light it up. I always had to have one lit in my hand. I didn't always smoke it, Sometimes I just wanted it lit. And I'd take maybe one drag off of a cigarette until it burned down to the filter. It was the act of having it in my hand more than the act of literally smoking it. And so that was one of the things I did to get off of cigarettes is I bought toothpicks, and I'd sit and flick toothpicks where I used to sit and hold my cigarette. And that was one of the things that helped me break the habit. But then I got curious about vaping and tried it, and then I got hooked on vaping for years, which I just recently stopped this year. When I moved into this house, I was paying over $100 for vape a month. And moving into this house, I decided I couldn't do it no more. So that's why I quit. It was more out of necessity than like anything else. Remember the I'm Flagging, I'm Snitching song. Who could forget? Omega Loser certainly made a name for himself in this community. That's definitely true. What do you think about Sony only making 2,000... no, it was 12,000. They made 12,000 30th anniversary edition PS5 Pros. They made 12,000 30th anniversary edition PS5 Pros. and they were sold out in seconds. Mostly by scalpers, I'm sure. Did 8th plat Death Stranding? Yes, he did. Or maybe not. I thought he did, but I was wrong. I want to buy an Xbox Series X this year, and I have a list of games I want to play on it. I've never owned an Xbox ever, so there are definitely some games I want to try. What are your thoughts on the Series X? Most of what's on Series X really right now, even though they bought all those studios up, is third-party stuff. And what they have put out first-party, the only worthwhile first-party games that they've put out was Hi-Fi Rush and Forza Horizons 5. Halo Infinite was crap. Redfall was crap. They have had a very lackluster generation so far, and Sony's hasn't been the best either, but Astrobot outdoes pretty much anything Microsoft has put out from day one, except for Forza Horizon 5. And I would say both of them are of equal value. It's just one gives you a lot more bang for your buck because it's a live streaming racing game. You ever considered edibles or weed for your aches and pain? I can't do weed. I accidentally partook in some weed at one of the gaming conventions. And it caused my heart rate to shoot up through the roof, to where I was hearing it in my left ear, and my pulse was basically this fast. And I went and bought a bottle of water and sat down in the bathroom and lost an hour of time. And here I was 3 hours away from home, and the only way for my kid to get back home, if need be. It was a stupid thing. And so no more weed or edibles for me. Can't take the risk. I won't do anything for pain relief that's stronger than ibuprofen. Thoughts on Sony losing $400 million? On what? How about backwards compatibility? On Concord? Stupid call, man. Stupid call. They waited too long to try to get into the hero shooter genre. Overwatch is too well established, and the other one that's popular, whose name I can't recall now, it's too well established. Those genre markets for that kind of stuff, they're big enough to have 2 or 3 main ones tops. So you got, Overwatch, the one I can't remember, and then I guess Fortnite. They take up all the space, and so there was no room for a Concord, even if the characters were good, which they weren't. If people paid you for a don't buy this, a DBTS or a BTS, would you do them again? Yeah, of course. I would use the money that they paid to purchase the game they wanted me to review. But it would be my choice as to whether it was a BTS or a DBTS. No matter how much they paid, they would not influence my opinion, just what game I reviewed. So, for example, if all of y'all wanted me to review Space Marines 2, then it would take $70 worth of donations tonight for me to go buy the game, and then I would then be obligated to play the game, capture footage, review it. The money would go to nothing else except what you guys wanted me to play. That's always been the rule, going all the way back. It's just a lot of y'all forgot about that, I guess. A lot of y'all have donated and never asked me to play anything. You've just donated. But, if I hit 7, for example, it's not going to happen because we're already almost to 1 hour left and haven't had a single donation all night. But if I happen to hit $70 tonight, and that extends the stream by an hour, by the way, and the persons who get me up to 70 say, we want you to review Space Marines 2 or whatever game it happens to be, I will go buy that game and I will review it. That's the way it's always been. That's how I ended up having to review Hannah Montana. Do y'all remember that? It's just back then, I was letting people actually buy the games and ship them to a P.O. box I had. I don't have a P.O. box anymore, so I can't do that. But if y'all want to hit up the Streamlabs, I can do that. But still, 12,000 is stupid. It should be 100,000. Well, I would agree. Did you like the Finding Nemo films? I liked the first one. I didn't care for the second one. If you could play any game you wanted, but you knew it would be the last game you ever played, what game are you going to go out on? Some big open world game. Some big open world game. Because, I'm going to be in denial of my impending demise, and I'm going to be hopeful and buy a game that's going to take me, 500 hours of game time to complete it. That's what I would do. Crawl every last button press, every last breath, and keep myself optimistic. I will live long enough to 100% this game. Have you played Red Dead Revolver? Way back in the day. Sup, 7th. Saw your Twitter post about the PS5 Pro. Well, I ended up getting one. I ended up scoring one. But there was a whole story about that you missed, and I'm not going to go back through it, so you'll have to watch the replay. How do you think Sony will recover from the $400 million lost on the Concorde? Probably from all those 30th anniversary PlayStation 5 Pro pre-orders that they charged $1,000 for. Even another Barbie girl game or Hannah Montana game. You're tempted. Man, I used to have seizures all the time when I was a kid, and the last time I smoked weed, I was convinced for hours I was going to have one all night. Never again. Yeah. I would still pay you to play games you already have to reimburse you for your time and energy. Well, you could do that too. You could do that too. But, I'll remind you that so far tonight, nobody has done nothing. And last week, I got $5. Gave y'all 3 hours of entertainment and got $5, which y'all know I don't do this for donations anyway. I just poke fun at y'all over it. It is what it is. But the reality is I don't do YouTube for a living, and I have a finite amount of time outside of work. So, I can't afford either in time or in pay to go out and buy every game that comes out. So if y'all want to get my opinion on a game, and it's one that I haven't already purchased for myself, that's what this is for. To make the videos y'all want to see that I can't afford to make. Have you played Ni no Kuni 2? Yes, it was good. It's not as good as the first one, but it was good. Hey, 7th, if you hit the lottery, $500 million after taxes, what would you do with it? Pay off my house, and then flip the house and buy an even bigger house, pay off that house, and put the rest of it in interest-earning investments, retire, and then 8th could, after I die, 8th could live off the interest for those investments for the rest of his life and be set. That's what I would do. As it stands, this is all the house that I should ever need. 2,300 square feet. That's all I should ever need. Perfectly happy with that. Because honestly, I don't think I'm going to live long enough for the collection to get so big that we'd need a bigger house. I don't think I'm going to live that long. So this house should be more than we'll ever require. Seventh, is it bad that I love cheesy movie that rips off Star Wars prequels and actually prefer it over modern Star Wars because it's cheesy gold? That's up to you, man. It's not up to me. AKL Max, what up, Seventh? Did you give your thoughts on Ghosts of Yotei or Yotei or however it's pronounced? So glad we only have to wait a year to play it. No, not really. I mean, I'm interested in playing it, but I can't really give any thoughts on it until I've played it. What's the biggest donation you ever got? I can't remember the biggest individual donation I've ever gotten, but the biggest night that I ever had was $473. That was the biggest single night amount that I've ever done, was $473. That was an 8.5 hour stream, by the way. I couldn't do that now. I mean, I'm already feeling pain in my back. I couldn't do 8 hours. I haven't even finished 3 yet. So if a game is $3 to $5 used, 10 should cover it. Well, yeah, because that would have to cover the shipping to ship it here. Have you played Jedi Survivor? Do you recommend it? We have Jedi Survivor. I haven't played it. 8th has, but I don't think he liked it. What's your thoughts on it coming to the PS4? I would imagine it would run horribly on PS4. Were you just renting the previous Texas house? Yes. The previous house I lived in, I'd been renting it for 7 years. This one I own, which of course is also in Texas, because I didn't want... if we were going to move to another state, the plan had been to either go to Florida or Tennessee, which both got hit by a hurricane this week. So probably a good idea that I just stayed in Texas, even though this neighborhood was damaged by a tornado 2 days before I moved in. So that's what I'm saying. In this day and age, you're damned if you do and you're damned if you don't. So you might as well not put a whole lot of thought into where you wish to go live, because there's the potential for some kind of disaster to wipe you out, no matter where you pick. How can you get a good interest rate on your money that you can withdraw from? Well, I mean, if you're towards retirement age, you're looking at Roth IRAs and various other investments. I wouldn't recommend 401k, not really. I mean, that's what I currently have, but that's just because it's what's offered through my employer, so it's what's easiest. I don't have to invest a lot of time in managing it or anything. I mean, my 401k is how I was able to afford this house. I didn't have a down payment saved up, but my 401k was large enough to where I was able to withdraw from it as a one-time home purchasing withdrawal, and that covered my down payment on the house. So 401ks can come in handy. And here's the really fun part, is that thanks to the annual profit sharing for my company that they do every year, a couple of months after I bought the house, my 401k was back up to the level it was before I took the money out because of the profit sharing. So I had no loss over it. It's pretty nice. I haven't played Jedi Survivor because I never beat the first one, but we did buy it. I know we did. Do you like the Dave's Triple? The Dave's Triple. What is that, a burger at Wendy's? I figured the Vectrex was the biggest. The biggest what? I figured the Vectrex was the biggest. The biggest what, Mr. Skills? I haven't played Jedi Survivor because I'm glad you're a homeowner now. It's so much better to own it. Well, I owned the one in North Carolina, the house I was living in when you guys started watching me. But when the company told me I needed to move to either Atlanta or Texas, and I picked Texas, they didn't give me enough time to fix up the house and sell it before moving to Texas. They wanted me in Texas a month later after telling me. And so I had to do a deed in lieu of foreclosure and just let the bank take the house instead of foreclosing on me, so it wouldn't affect my credit rating. So that's what happened with that house. But that's all right, because this house is exactly 1,000 square feet bigger than that one was. No, I didn't get any of the 30th anniversary stuff. I just got the regular old PS5 Pro. How many homes do you own? Just this one. I'm not rich. I'm not rich, man. Thing is, Seventh, I kind of want you to see this movie I'm talking about. So if I donate enough, will you watch and review it for $50? As long as it's not a porn. I will watch and review the movie as long as it's not pornographic. Would you feel some type of way if Ubisoft went belly up? I feel if the new Assassin's Creed game isn't a massive hit that it will be their fate. In fact, rather than doing a movie review of it, which I'll do that if you want, Ultra Steel. But what if me and Eighth, because Eighth is my kind of like my technical guru when it comes to the streaming crap. What if me and Eighth could figure out a way to do like a watch party for that movie on Discord and have people that are members of the Discord watch it live? Or would you prefer me to make it as a straightforward review video so everybody could watch it and not just people that are members of the Discord? I'll leave that up to you. Would you feel some kind of way if Ubisoft went belly up? No, I wouldn't care at all. Because somebody will end up buying those IP out from under them. And, that'll either make them better or it'll make them worse. And they couldn't really get much worse as it is anyway. I swear the film is better than modern Star Wars and that it's never boring. It's not offensive like modern Star Wars films. That's up to you, man. If you want to do it, I'll do it. Magic powers. What's Eight's favorite dish? He likes sushi. For a long time, it was like really spicy wings and stuff. He liked really spicy stuff, but lately he's gotten into sushi. He didn't get that from me. I can't stand sushi. Maybe my memory isn't sharp, but I thought someone anonymous donated you a Vectrex, so I thought that was the biggest single donation. Well, they were asking, cash donation, not hardware. And at the time that it was donated to me, it was worth like $350, and now it's worth $500 or something, I think. But yeah, that was anonymously Billy donated the Vectrex. It's sitting back there on the shelf. I live in Poinciana, Florida. Luckily, the hurricane barely touched my area, just very windy. Tampa and North Florida got hit pretty bad, though. Yeah, that's where I used to, I lived in Jacksonville for a while, and I lived in the area that Solid Rev lives in for a while, and I lived a couple of blocks up from downtown Tampa for a while. So, mostly the areas that I lived in Tampa are the ones that were hit. Has anyone heard from Solid Rev? Is he okay? Based on how smart you are, Seventh, you'll be rich soon. No, I won't. I'll never be rich. I will be lucky to even hit the very bottom line of six figures. I'm not there yet, folks. I don't make six figures. Yeah, I had over 30-mile-an-hour wind. For some people, some reason people think that, that I'm rich and I live in a McMansion and all this. It's a 2,300 square foot house that's costing me $2,740 a month, which is over half my pay, that over half my take home after taxes. But you're not supposed to do that. You're not supposed to take on a home loan that represents more than 50% of your pay. But that's what I did to make sure that Eighth had a good place to live once I'm gone. It was worth it to me to do that. So I am not rich. I'm not at six figures. I'm still somewhere around 17 grand away from that. 17 to 20 grand away from that. I could see Ubisoft being acquired by Microsoft or Sony. We'll see. I don't know how likely either of them would be to that with the things that are going on. Do the movie review MST3K style. I don't really have the tech for that. No, I didn't watch Penguin. Are you allowed to eat spaghetti? I'm not really supposed to because of the sugar content, but on occasion I'll eat spaghetti. Seventh, which is hotter to live in, Texas or Florida? They're both about the same, but Texas, except for maybe down around San Antonio, is more of a dry heat, where Florida is a really a very dank, wet, sloppy heat. It's like walking around in God's armpit. Yeah, has anyone heard from Solid Rev? He may show up on Blaze 4K stream tonight. All right. I hope he didn't have any serious damage. I mean, that's not his house anymore. It's his wife's house, but you know. All the same, for him, for the sake of him and his kids and everything, I hope they're all right. No, I haven't watched any of Penguin yet. No Penguin. Oh, shoot. I missed it, and y'all didn't say nothing. One hour remaining. 1 hour. There have been 0 donations. None. Zip. Zilch. Nada. Y'all don't love me no more. So Florida is more sweaty than Texas. I thought it was the other way around. No, they're equally hot, but Florida is just a more moist, dank heat, where Texas is more of a dry heat, unless you get down in deep South Texas. Then there's humidity, but for the most part, Florida is way more humid. You know, it's like walking through pea soup. It's swamp water down there, man. Which, I mean, I didn't really experience that too much because I spent so much of it living in Jacksonville, which Jacksonville really is like deep South Georgia, really. You know, it doesn't really feel like Florida to live in Jacksonville. You don't really feel like you're in Florida till you get down around where Solid Rev lives, and half the roads are still made out of sand. Oh, magic powers. Oh, but anyway, we got 1 hour left. Nobody's donated nothing. All of a sudden, the questions have dried up. What's up with that? What is up with that? If y'all don't start donating, I'm going to start spoiling 8th's Christmas presents. There's the edge of a Switch game. Y'all better hurry. Oh. Are y'all liking the blacklight? I mean, I know it doesn't look as cool over the camera because the brightness of the screen is like, blocking some of that, but you can still at least see how brightly the blacklight tape on the shelves is glowing, at least. I think it looks cool. Reminds me of the arcades that I grew up with. I always had a fascination with blacklight. I loved going into arcades that used it, haunted houses that used it. I just thought it was a cool look. And so since I was a kid, I always wanted to have at least one room in the house that was like heavily blacklit. And so now I have one. And 8's upstairs is all blacklight too, except for in his bedroom and the PC room. His game room is all blacklight. The hallway blacklight. Yeah. When was the last time you had Taco Bell, and does it incite your magic powers? I had Taco Bell maybe 3 weeks ago. 8th got a craving, and we went up there and got something. We didn't overdo it, but we got something. And yes, it does stir the magic within me. I really like. Now, for those of you who haven't been watching me that long, Sometimes y'all will ask, what's the whole thing with farting and magic powers? Every time I fart on stream, I say, I have magic powers. Where does that come from? That comes from the time years ago that me and 8th sat down together and watched the movie Swiss Army Guy, where Daniel Radcliffe plays a corpse that for some reason can still talk and somewhat interact, and uses his the power of his body slowly rotting and expelling gas out of his backside to get them out of precarious situations. So, for example, his cohort is able to get on top of Daniel and use Daniel as a boat with the farting power propelling them through the water. And so that became a thing with me and 8th where, the corpse had magic farting powers. And so every time I would fart real loud, I'd say, I have magic powers. That's where it comes from. It was an inside joke with me and 8th that translated over to the stream. If I had enough fans that they wanted t-shirts, I would have a I Have Magic Powers t-shirt made. But, nobody has ever bought the t-shirts that I have made for the show. So, Ultra Steel donated $50, so I am officially on for another hour. So there are 2 hours left of the show now, thanks to Ultra Steel. Let's see. 7th, I look forward to seeing you watch and review Chuck E. Cheese in the Galaxy 5000. Even this cheesy film is better than The Last Jedi. Can't wait to see you react to this beautiful monster. Chuck E. Cheese in the Galaxy 5000. Where can you watch that, Ultra Steel? What streaming platform has this cinematic monstrosity? Oh, that's right. Hold on. Where is it? Your time has been extended. So, y'all are going to get me for at least one more hour tonight. Thank you, Ultra Steel. That also reminds me, I have to give you a dollar bill. Dollar bill to Ultra Steel. I have magic powers. So, let's see here. Y'all get to enjoy the wonderfulness that is me for another hour tonight. But Ultra Steel, you're going to have to provide me with details on where to find this movie. Let's see here. Penguin Gotham saying they didn't catch him again. What's the greatest sitcom and worst sitcom of all time? My favorite sitcom is Red Dwarf. My least favorite is Family Matters. I know a lot of people that grew up in the 90s would be angry with me for that, but I don't care. That show sucks. Although I would watch Family Matters. I would marathon Family Matters before watching a single episode of Full House. So let me amend and say Full House. I forgot about Full House. I apologize to Family Matters. They're the edge of a Switch game. You funny, 7. Yep. Florida was a dangerous place to live at in the 80s. Well, I didn't live there in the 80s. I lived there in the early 2000s. That's also when 8th was conceived. White Castle is worse than Taco Bell. Well, I never have had White Castle. I did have the redneck version. I used to eat crystals a lot. We called them gut bombs, so you're probably right. If you really love the game, would you go beyond the platinum or 100% achievements like DLC or leveling up every character? Oh, that was a question for Lord 8th, but I've done that before, yes. I platted a game and kept playing it. Skyrim's one example of that. Yes, the Mr. McMahon documentary was underwhelming because they made most of it before the allegations came out. Dollar bill, y'all. I don't mind if you do a watch party. Just reassure your fans that the film is better than modern Star Wars. I'm not joking. This is a masterpiece. Like I said, you're going to have to tell me where I can go watch it. We haven't really figured out the whole how to do a watch party thing yet, so depending on 8th, we may just do a regular old video where I talk about it. Speaking of Harry Potter, Maggie Smith. Yeah, I know. Professor McGonagall passed away. She was also Grandma Wendy in Hook. And she was in an old comedy from the late 70s, early 80s called Murder by Death. So, I really liked her. It's sad. You ought to just say a $7 bill from now on. Okay. Whatever. Family Matters was terrible. It wasn't funny. It was stupid. And that was Full House. Family Matters, I just couldn't stand Urkel, man. I still can't stand Urkel. I love Married with Children. Between Married with Children and I would take Married with Children, Red Dwarf, and the IT Crowd over pretty much any sitcom that's ever been. Gut bombs, you funny. Well, it's true. That's what my dad called them, and I just inherited it from him. And crystals are basically White Castles that have mustard and a pickle on them. That's what crystals are. They're just like White Castles, but with mustard and a pickle. Are you a completionist when it comes with the video? It depends on the game. Some games I will 100%. Some I'm satisfied with just finishing it. No, I never watched Fuller House. Don't eat White Castle. There's a reason they're called sliders. Is Gary from The Last American Virgin the biggest simp you've ever seen? Yeah, I know. Wanted to hook up with Diane Franklin so bad that he was willing to help her deal with aborting another dude's baby. And what does she, and she's like, I appreciate you, and kissing him and all this stuff. And the next time he goes to see her, what's she doing? Making out with the dude that knocked her up. Talk about a simp. Yes. That's why Last American Virgin is not one of my most favorite of the 80s sex comedies, because it has such a dour, disappointing ending. He never hooked up with his dream girl. Instead, he got to console her over another dude passing his seed. Absolute simp. And a cuck, really, if you think about it. I sent you the link on X to the movie. Sorry for that. Okay. I will check it out later tonight. What did you think of Diane Franklin's friend Rose in Last American Virgin? I thought she was just as fine. I've just always had a thing for Diane Franklin. What can I say? I mean, she's married in real life. She's in her 60s. But if she wasn't married, I'd be in there. Do you like Happy Days? I liked Happy Days a little bit. And I liked Good Times. But, I don't think Fonzie and JJ were anywhere near as annoying as Urkel was. Would you rather have Red Dead Redemption 3, Jack Marston surviving and going into World War I, or another prequel? I'd rather go with Jack Marston. Forrest Gump is the biggest simp. He was better off in the army. Yeah, but you know what? Forrest got to tap that Jenny ass. Okay? Maybe it was way later when she was already all bored out and it was a hot dog down a hallway situation, but he did get to tap that ass. Gary didn't get to tap shit. He didn't get to have any of the Diane Franklin goodness. No, because she was too busy recovering from having the other dude's kid vacuumed. And then how does she repay him? By going right back to that dude. That made me kind of not like Diane Franklin when I saw that movie, and then that got redeemed once I'd seen Better Off Dead. Monique was the stuff. I loved the character of Monique. She was cool. That was one of my early puberty crushes was Monique from Better Off Dead. And Stretch from Texas Chainsaw Massacre 2. And, of course, Nancy from Nightmare on Elm Street. Those were my three. And I've gotten to meet 2 out of those 3. I haven't gotten to meet Diane Franklin. But I've met Heather Langenkamp, and I met Miss Williams, who played Stretch. I have pictures of me with both, in fact. But I've never met Diane Franklin. Are TV shows just long movies, or is there a fundamental difference? I wouldn't say they're long movies, no. My last comment was skipped. Oh, God, let's not start that shit again. Brother Natural, just repost it, for crying out loud. I'm not scrolling all the way up looking for it. I'm sorry. Just repost it. No more of this, oh, you skipped my comment. Just type it again. Watch your language. Your tax deductible is on here. Okay. A Red Dead Redemption remake would be nice. To fresh coat of paint does it need it. A little more Horizon Zero Dawn and Last of Us. Did you see the movie This Boy's Life about Tobias Wolff? It's such a... No. Are you a fan of Jim Cornette? I loved Jim Cornette. He was one of my favorite managers back in the day. I think that'd be a fascinating conversation to just sit down and, just gab back and forth about old wrestling stuff with him. I think it'd be a lot of fun. I'd love to meet him. Have never met him, but would love to. I've met a lot of wrestlers, but I haven't met him. I always wanted to meet Andre the Giant. He passed away before I could meet him. I've never met Hogan, but I did see Hogan wrestle live. It was a Saturday night's main event. It took place in the UTC Roundhouse in Chattanooga, Tennessee. It was me and my dad. And the main event was Hulk Hogan and the Ultimate Warrior versus Mr. Perfect and the Genius. Do you think Red Dead would have been better as a film? No, but, the main problem that I had with Red Dead 2 was how many people stuck would do it as long as they did when the exact same thing kept happening every chapter. They get a hint about a heist, and they'd go to do this heist, and one of them would F it up somehow, and they'd get into a fight and have to kill a bunch of people and barely get away, and then, here you go, turn around, very next day, hey, I got inside word on another heist, and they kept following him, despite him constantly effing up and getting some of them killed. And it just stretched my credulity, my willingness to believe in the story just kept getting stretched thinner and thinner. What actor from Friends is your favorite, and which actor had a better career after it ended, in your unhumble opinion? I never was really into Friends. Never got into Friends. The only 2 episodes that I remember are the Thanksgiving episode and the episode where they're having to carry a couch up the stairs, and Ross keeps yelling, "Pivot! Pivot! Those are the only 2 episodes I remember. And even then, I only remember a couple of scenes from each. I never really got into it. You know, in Family Matters, Steve was only going to appear once, but he got popular, so they turned... Well, that happens a lot. I mean, you know, Mork from Mork and Mindy started out as just a one-time weird little thing that happened on Happy Days, and it turned into its own show. Fonzie was originally a bit character. JJ was just another kid in the house, in the apartment. You know, just another one of their children. That happened a lot with 80s and 90s sitcoms. Seventh, ever watched The Wire? No. I don't really get into police procedurals that much, you know? I mean, there was a time where I watched CSI and Special Victims Unit. But eventually I got tired of those too. It was all I could take to a point. Yeah. I'm just not that big into the police procedurals. I liked them better in the 70s and 80s when they were kind of more fun and had a more fantastical lean to some of it. You know, like I would be more interested in something like X-Files as a procedural than, you know, modern day stuff like The Wire. You know, I liked stuff like Knight Rider and even ones that didn't necessarily have anything supernatural or sci-fi to them, but just had a fun, interesting character like... oh God, what was the name of it? The one that Jim Garner was in or whatever. Drove around in a gold Camaro or a gold Trans Am. Has a fun theme song. Can't remember the name of it now. The Rockford Files. The Rockford Files. That's what it was. Sorry, guys. I'm getting old. My memory goes. The Rockford Files. I like stuff like that. Will you buy the Horizon? Why would I? The regular version, when you play it on the PS5, is already it's already upgraded to 60 frames per second. So why would I buy it again? Don't care. Did you watch any episodes of the Married with Children spinoff with the guy... Oh, Joey from Friend? No. I was aware of it, but I didn't watch it. Sony needs to show what Blue Point is working on in Ben's studio. I agree. I agree. 7th, do you like the X-Files? I liked the X-Files, yes. I didn't care for the revival of it a few years ago, but I liked the X-Files. Have you played Mr. Mosquito? They added it to PlayStation Plus. That was a weird game. I couldn't get into it. It's funny, but the gameplay of it I couldn't get into. I liked Stabler. He was a good person, but the amount of times he would put his hands on a perp and not get in trouble were hilarious. Yeah. You see that a lot on these police procedurals, and that's another reason why I don't really get into them that much. It's because I grew up around cops, and so I know how things were actually like. And watching some of the stuff that would happen on those shows, especially the CSI stuff, were just really ridiculous to me. Finally started Dexter. Good so far. Well, as long as you stop at season 5, you'll be all right. Don't go past season 5. 7th, were you impressed by the fireworks at Disney World? I remember SeaWorld had fireworks too, but I think they had to stop because the fireworks were polluting the ocean water. SeaWorld isn't anywhere near the ocean. SeaWorld is like, at least not in Florida. SeaWorld is in central Florida. You know, hundreds of miles away from the ocean in either direction. The fireworks was more that kind of distressing the animals kind of thing more than it polluting water. You know, none of the animals lived in the lake that they shot the fireworks over. You know, there's a big lake in the middle of the park, and the park wrapped around that lake, but none of the animals lived in that lake. You know, they lived in their own tanks around the lake. So no, it was more just, you know, distressing the animals with the loud explosions and stuff at night more than anything else. And yes, I liked the fireworks at Disney World. They had multiple shows. They also I liked some of their parades, like the Main Street Electrical Parade, and they had this parade. I can't remember the name of it, but it took place on the water, and it was like parade floats that floated, and so they would come up through the Seven Seas Lagoon on the back end of the Contemporary Resort Hotel. So if your room was facing not towards the Magic Kingdom, but on the other side of the hotel facing the lake, they would run these little parade floats with music back around the lake where the people that stayed at the Contemporary could see it, and it was kind of neat. But I can't. It was something water pageant, electrical water pageant, or something like that. I'm curious what Switch game that was. I think I saw enough to recognize it. I don't see how, because all I showed was like, you know, a corner of the back side of it, just a little bit like that, just a little bit. Do you like Unhappily Ever After? Still no DVD release, but I think they're all on YouTube. I vaguely remember trying to watch one of them and I shut it off. Do you think blowing into the cartridge or console ever worked? It seemed to work for me. Do you like the MCU? I liked what the MCU used to be. I don't like the MCU in its current form, although I did like Deadpool and Wolverine a lot. Although, you know what, though? I question how well Deadpool and Wolverine will hold up for repeat viewings compared to the first two. We'll see. We'll see. Sony, if you're going to remaster games, do old games that need it, like Sly Games, Jak and Daxter, Beyond the Beyond, Legend of Dragoon. Oh, absolutely. Dexter, the whole show was good, in my opinion. Season 6, I think it was. The season with Montalban and Colin Hanks was the most underwhelming. That's why I say it's fine up to Season 5, and everything that came after Season 5 is horse crap. 7th, did you know that chewing gum can act as a laxative? Well, okay then. I don't really chew gum either. You know, when I did, my favorite was Hubba Bubba. Or Big League Chew. I really liked Big League Chew. Did you like American Psycho? It was okay. It's funny. Edward James Olmos. 7th, have you ever manually opened up a video game controller to try to fix it? Yes. I have sometimes been successful and sometimes not. One time, I fixed a broken Atari 2600 controller that I threw across the room with duct tape. I opened it up, and when you open up an Atari 2600, it has these little arms that go around the base, these little arms that are made out of plastic. And, you know, it almost looks like a kind of a little centrifuge thing when you open up and look at it. And I'd broken one of those. So I glued it back together and then wrapped duct tape around it. And it worked. Have you watched? I've also done surgery on an NES Max, on a regular NES gamepad, on a PS2 controller. Mainly because, you know, up until after 8th was born, I broke a lot of controllers. I mean, a lot. And I didn't always have the money to buy a new one. Have you watched Kenny versus Spinny? Probably the fun. No. Did you used to smell the manuals when you first opened a game for that new man? I didn't smell the manuals. I opened up the game and smelled the game. I'd open up the NES box and... I liked season 7 and 8 all right, but I respect your opinion. Okay. Are you putting a bowl of candy out the door for Halloween, or will you open the door and give them the Sarge treat? If I had the money, what I wanted to do was do trick-or-treating out of the garage. And I wanted to have, a light set up with a fog machine and have the candy at the bar in the back, because my garage has a bar, a wet bar. And I wanted to string some Halloween lights on the wet bar. And basically, I wanted 8th to be out there manning the bar. And that at a certain point, he would give me some kind of a signal when kids would come in, so that right when they'd get to the bar where the candy was, I would burst through the door as Leatherface with a fake chainsaw. Arr! Arr! That's what I want to do. But I don't have the money for all of that now, because I had to spend $3,000 on a water heater. So now I don't have the money to buy the Leatherface costume. I don't have the money for the fake chainsaw. I don't have the money for the fog machine. It is what it is. But that's what I wanted to do. Seventh, once you open up a controller, your mind gets blown from how sophisticated it all looks. Like, how the F do you fix this? Well, not for me. I'm pretty good, and 8th is really good at taking stuff apart and putting it back together too. The Atari 5200 had analog, and it didn't work worth a crap. It was terrible. Was Edward Scissorhands a good film? Yes, an excellent film. 7 is one of my favorites, in fact. 7th, did you ever break a controller? Or 8th? He's asking that of 8th. I can't recall 8th ever having broken a controller. Not out of anger, anyway. Did you like Double Bubble and Super Bubba? I don't know Super Bubba. I did do Double Bubble. My main two were my main three, I should say, were Hubba Bubba. Actually, I had several mains. Hubba Bubba was number 1. Big League Chew was number 2. Strawberry flavored Bubblicious was number 3. I can't remember the name of it, but I liked the one that they were shaped like... They were almost shaped like the little bulbousy communion crackers that they'd give out at Protestant churches for communion, and you'd bite into them, and there was like liquid goo in the middle of it. I liked those. And there was one other one that I really liked. Fruit Stripe. I liked Fruit Stripe, even though the flavor didn't last. And then, if none of those were available, I would buy Juicy Fruit. Because Juicy Fruit's flavor is just freaking addictive, man. If you've never had Juicy Fruit, good Lord. But I couldn't... The last time I bought gum, I don't even remember the brand on it, but it was Dr. Pepper flavored gum. And it didn't really taste like Dr. Pepper. So, have you got a favorite comedian? George Carlin. No one cares if the main character's fingernails get dirty. Yeah, Rockstar went too far. Yeah. I have broken a controller, but it wasn't playing Castlevania and Ninja Gaiden. 7th, which 80s franchises are more iconic, TMNT or Ghostbusters? For me, it was Ghostbusters. Because TMNT didn't get their own movie until the 90s. Did you plat Returnal? No, I did not. Did you check out the Metaphor Refantasio demo? No, but I do have that game pre-ordered for 8th for Christmas. At the 7th level, oh, this is from 8th. You showed the front of it, and I thought I saw the elephant power-up that's in Mario Wonder. I don't think you saw that. I think you saw something else, and you wanted it to be the elephant because you really wanted Mario Wonder for Christmas. If you could change the outcome, but that game is expensive. It's still full price on Amazon. You're getting cheap stuff because that's the way it is. If you could, that totally wasn't Mario Wonder that you saw. If you could change the outcome so that WCW wins the Monday Night War, would you do it? No, because by that point, WCW was going downhill. They didn't have anything compelling to follow up the NWO storyline. That was the big problem. Juicy fruit is, yes, it is. Now I want some juicy fruit. Now I'm craving it. Everchew Big Red or Winter Fresh. Yes, if I wanted something for my breath, I'd do wintergreen gum, or I would do Big Red. This was back before they had, before I knew the magic of Altoids. But, I liked Big Red. It was a little bit burny, a little bit spicy. Not too bad, though. Thoughts on the punk band Slipknot? Well, for one thing, I don't really consider them punk. They strike me more as like, early 2000s new metal than anything else. They don't strike me as punk at all. Punk is Dead Kennedys, Sex Pistols, Descendants, definitely Descendants, Agent Orange, the Mr. T Experience, Dead Kennedys. Jesus Christ! Holy shit, what happened there? Oh! I thought I turned it down, but apparently I turned it all the way up. Let's just rule that out and mute my speakers. I can hear 8th upstairs laughing at me. Oh. I gotta let my heart slow down for a minute, guys. That one startled me. And I don't get startled easily. But Jesus. Okay, it's slowing down. All of that just for $5. Thanks, Dark Star. Here, let me give you a $7th bill. Okay, that got us up to $55. 45 away from having to stay 2 extra hours instead of 1. Late to send this, but here's the donation. What game company do you think is the most favoring of gamers? I'm not sure I understand that question. What do you mean, the most favoring of gamers? Elaborate, Dark Star. I don't startle easily, but I'm glad I don't have to shit because I probably would have. What would both of you and 8th do if Rockstar made you pump gas every time the car runs out of it? I would not be playing that game. I'm glad y'all got a laugh out of that. Now, what it was, 8th rearranged all of this for me today, and he did a great job. But somehow, when he did that, he had turned the volume up on my speakers, and so when we got the first donation for $50 and it set off the sound, I thought I had turned it all the way down. But apparently what I'd done is turned it way up. And so when Darkstar did his $5 donation, super loudness. So now I have the speakers muted on the computer because I can't tell looking at this little dial whether I've got it turned all the way down or all the way up. Excuse me. Darkstar, do it again. That was awesome. Jump scare. That scared me too. I have earbuds on. I think my neighbors heard that. Probably did. Should Returnal get a sequel? I would prefer Housemarque to just keep making new things. At Lord 8th, at Clean Frame, I don't think I'm going to play another Rockstar game. If your buddies start playing the newest version of GTA Online for GTA 6, I have a feeling you'd play it. Maybe not the single player. Who had the better radio show, Howard Stern or Opie and Anthony? Neither of them were in my market when I was growing up, so I couldn't really say. And even when I got to a market that did have shock jocks, all I had in my area was Bubba the Love Sponge. Who are you voting for? Nobody. I don't vote. In the entirety of my adult life, there's never been anybody that I felt was worthy of my vote, so I don't vote. They listen to the actual gamers that care about the quality of the game itself and not propaganda. Huh. I can't think of a single Western / U.S. developer that's that way anymore. None spring to mind. I think you'd have to go to Japan for that. Or part of Europe, like CD Projekt Red. I mean, sure, they released a game that wasn't finished and didn't meet 90% of its promises, but they kept at it and made it decent and listened to the fans' criticisms of it in regards to, Cyberpunk. Team Asobi, there's nothing woke at all in Astrobot. Not really a whole lot of wokeness in when it comes to Nintendo either. But then again, they've always been family friendly anyway. But I don't really do political questions that much, Marie. But yeah, no one has ever been worthy of my vote, so I don't vote. I stay home. Yes, it was audibly louder. Turn the volume louder and I'll don't know. No, Alaskan dude. I do live under an HOA, so I don't want to, freak out the neighbors. Blink 182 is pop punk, 90s era pop punk, like Sum 41, SR 71, Green Day. A lot of them had like a number that ended in 1. I don't really, or you had your Blink 182, you had your Sum 41, you had your SR 71. Even the band I was in at the time had a number in it. 7, what game blew you away the most in terms of writing and storytelling? I was really impressed with Uncharted up until the 4th one. They still play GTA 5. I'm tired of it. I only vote in the corporate slave awards. Does Black Bond still do that? Nothing woke in Stellar Blade. No, that's what I've heard, yes. No, I've never been out of the country, Marie. I've never been out of the country. Never been farther west than where I'm at right now. Never been farther north than Louisville, Kentucky. Are you a secret MCR fan? I don't even know what MCR is. 7, thoughts on Rare as a company. I don't think they're as good as people make them out to be. I can't really think of I can't really think of a single Rare game that I was, obsessed with. That just totally gripped me and I had to play it from start to finish. It's never happened with me on a Rare game. So, for me, Rare is not as big a deal as it is for other people. Do you have a Mount Rushmore of video game developers? Not really. I think that whole concept is kind of stupid. I don't play around with that. id Software tends to care about what their fans want. Yeah, but the fact that I had to look up American development studios to think of one is true. I wish Xbox hadn't failed because PlayStation needs competition. That's why they're raising prices on controllers. Yeah. My Chemical Romance. We know you love it. Actually, I did like the Black Parade album. I didn't like any of their previous ones, but I liked the Black Parade album. Didn't like any of their old stuff. Is Banjo-Kazooie not up there with the best platformers? It's not for me. For me, Banjo-Kazooie was kind of slow and boring. I didn't like it that much. And really, I didn't like Conker's Bad Fur Day that much, aside from the humor in it. I didn't like it for the gameplay. These days, do you prefer indie games over AAA games coming out? Sometimes. Like, spoiler alert, the Sarge's review for Iron Meat's going to be a positive one, because that game is, it's the stuff. 7th, what's your favorite Halloween-themed game? Probably Pumpkin Jack. That's a great 3D platformer. If you haven't played it, you should check it out. Limited Run's going to be doing a physical release of it in October, and I'm definitely going to pre-order that, even though I already have the digital game on PS5. What is Xbox Series X up to? I have no idea. I haven't turned mine on since I first moved here, just to make sure it still worked. 7th, was Paramore a band for emo chick? I don't know. I don't think I've ever listened to them. 360 and PS3 was great competition and games on both sides. I agree. I hope Pumpkin Jack gets a sequel. Very underrated. Well, instead, they didn't make a sequel. They made a totally different game whose name I can't remember now. But it's basically a hybrid. You play as a robot, and it's a hybrid of Ratchet and Clank and Jak and Daxter in one game. But I can't remember the name of it. It just came out recently. Yeah, a Kimbot. That's it, a Kimbot. But it's not a straight-up Ratchet and Clank clone. There's elements of Jak and Daxter and other games in it, too. So it's kind of more of an homage to PS2-era platformers. Was there any cameo bot in Astrobot you didn't recognize? We had a couple we had to look up. I couldn't remember them off the top of my head, but we had a couple that we had to look them up because we didn't know what they were referencing. I haven't played a Kimbot yet because I went to look if there was going to be a physical, and it doesn't appear that there's going to be a physical. So I'm kind of waiting to see if they do a physical through Limited Run like they have with Pumpkin Jack, and I'll just wait until that comes and get that, because I don't really want to buy a digital game unless it's like $10 or $15. These indie games that are coming out, they're like 30, 40, 50 bucks. I'm not paying that for digital. I'll pay it for physical, but not for digital. Yeah, I agree with 8th. I've never really gotten into the idea of the whole give me your Mount Rushmore of. No, I've never played Realm of the Mad God. Everybody here should donate all of the Imagine Dragon albums to 7th, all of them. Multiple copies, 7 copies each. I have spoken often of my hatred of Imagine Dragons, so please do not do that. Besides which, I no longer have a P.O. box. And I never agreed to review music. I agreed to review one movie and review games. And thankfully there isn't an Imagine Dragons game out there. Thanks for the Limited Run news. I'll be sure to check out Pumpkin Jack Physical on PS5. Beat it on PC and yeah, I think it opens up on October 10th. I think, I'm definitely getting it. I've been waiting for a physical on that one for a long time. When is the physical edition of Black Myth Wukong? I heard there isn't already one? That's an all-digital game? No wonder we haven't bought it. I thought there was at least a PS5 physical edition. Shows what I know. What's your game of the year so far? Astrobot. 7th, do you think Pixar's Luca felt more like a foreign film? I think the constant reference to Italian culture, even the language of the titles weren't in English. Well, I mean, it takes place in an Italian sea town, so, that's like complaining that Ratatouille had too much French culture in it. I mean, it wasn't one of my favorites, but, I enjoyed it all right. It was okay. It's not the worst Pixar movie I've seen. That would be The Good Dinosaur. That movie is dog crap. Chuck E. Cheese music is better than Imagine Dragons music. Caveman drums would be better than Imagine Dragons. I've never liked that band, and what gets me is that they became so popular that a bunch of other bands started changing their sound to sound more like Imagine Dragons. Perfect example of that, Fall Out Boy. Worst game you've played this year? Oh, hell. I don't know that I've played anything that was bad this year. Unless it's slipping my mind. And I can't recall buying something and being like, oh, shoot, I remember I bought one that was $10. It was on sale. I bought Atari's reimagining of Haunted House for $8. And despite that game looking like it was originally made for the Wii, it can't maintain a steady frame rate on the PS5, including screen tearing. Now, when was the last time you saw screen tearing on a console game? Well, the reimagining of Haunted House has it. So I would say so far, Haunted House reimagining for PS5 is the worst game that we've experienced this year. 8th might have a different one, but that's what I would assume. Looks like you could use some advice from the Love Monkey. That's from Dinosaur. The Love Monkey. Nickelback, or I'd take Nickelback over Imagine Dragons. I don't care. There's a remake to Tomba out. What did you give it out of a 7 the first time? I wasn't that big a fan of Tomba. For me, it was like a solid 5. Have you played Undefeated? It's a superhero game. No, I haven't played that one, Tokes. Hi, by the way, Tokes. No, I haven't played Undefeated. Oh. 1 hour remaining. We are $45 away from extending it by another hour. So far, Chris, you've been wrong. This will not be a 6-hour stream. Damn, I was going to pick up Haunted House on payday. Oh, come on. Come on now. Come on, Reaper. Come on. I mostly bought that game as a gag for 8th. It was supposed to be his crappy game for his stocking stuffer because I just assumed it was going to be bad. But when it came, he was having a friend over, and I thought it would be funny to just toss him a crappy game. So I said, here, play this. And it did not disappoint. Hi, 7th. It's 3 a.m. in Scotland, and I can't sleep. Oh, I'm sorry to hear that, tortured soul. Are you ever going to reboot any of your old series? Well, like I said, if someone was to donate enough to have me review a specific game they wanted me to review, I could bring back DBTS or BTS. But or if they wanted me to review a game I happen to already own. But I haven't been buying up everything. Now I am, Sarge is going to be making an appearance later this week. It's not over 7th. We did hit 4 hours. Yes. But we're still $95 away from hitting 6 hours, Chris. $95 away from 6 hours. I didn't even know they remade that game. So random. Yeah, I didn't know it either until I just happened to spot it online. Earlier this year, I got the new Tales from the Borderlands in a bundle on Steam. That would be my worst game this year, even though it didn't come out this year. Yeah, I'm not sure that Haunted House came out this year either. I think that might have been a last year thing. I don't know. That or the botched DLC from Gearbox for Risk of Rain 2. Looking from Alaskan Dude, looking back on PS5, little underwhelming. Hope for more games and new IP to mini sequels and remakes of old games, not milking PS4. Well, I got news for you. They're not hopping off of the remaster train anytime soon because they just don't have anything. They don't have that much new in the pipe. Remember the Exposed song. I remember most of Omega Loser's songs. Yes. Oh. Come on now. Come on, ride me now. I don't know how many people are going to get that reference. That's T-Rex from the movie Orgasmo. Come on, ride me now. Dum, dum, dum. I love the Resident Evil games because of their replay value. Is there any other game you can name with that attribute? What, with good replay value? Well, any game that has multiple levels of difficulty, speed running potential. I guess it really depends on what it is that's compelling you to want to continue playing it. Favorite Nickelback songs. I said I would prefer to listen to Nickelback than to listen to Imagine Dragons. That doesn't mean I know even a single title of a name of a Nickelback song. Did any of your DBTS videos get taken down? No. I've never had one to get flagged. If you can have free food items for the rest of your life, what would it be? For me, pizza. Anywhere free pizza. I'd have steak. It would be steak. I have pizza all the time. If I'm going to have free food on the regular for the rest of my life, it's going to be something a little bit more top tier than pizza. So I'm going with steak. But I would ask that it be, mixed up, One day T-bone, one day prime rib, one day filet mignon. I'd want some variety with my steak. Because you have to be specific. You don't want to just say pizza, because that could mean for the rest of your life somebody's going to be microwaving a Tony's pizza for you every day. You got to be a little bit more specific, but at the same time, you want that variety. Crazy how Sony, Microsoft, and Nintendo come out with a new console every 7 years, and we're almost on year 5. Well, back in the day, it was about 5 years. It didn't start getting towards like 7 years like that until the PS3 era. And they stretched that one out, I feel, a little bit longer than it should have been. Because just because a system still is getting games for it doesn't mean that generation is still around. You know, I don't consider the PS4, Xbox One era to still be ongoing, even though games are still being released for them. It's like when the new gen starts, for me, the previous gen is over. And so, you know, gens for the most part would last 4 to 5 years back in the day. And then you hit the 360 PS3 era. We're in the middle of a recession. They don't want to try to launch a console, so they just kept stretching it out, and it got to 7 years. Thoughts on Super Monkey Ball? Don't like it. Don't like them. Never have. For me, Monkey Ball is like that toy that they used to have in gifted class, where it was like a piece of wood. It was like a box with a piece of wood that had a maze on it with little turnstiles on either side, so you could tilt the maze this way or front, forwards and backwards, left and right, and you had a little silver ball on it, and you had to navigate the ball through the maze to get it to the other side without falling through any holes. So for me, Monkey Ball is just a video game version of that, and I don't like it. Are you implying that we might get the next-gen console sooner? I'm implying that you might get that for Xbox sooner. I'm implying that Xbox could possibly launch their next system in 26, and then the soonest we'd see one from Sony would be 27 or 28 because of the Pro. That's what I'm implying. That Microsoft could attempt to do what they did with the 360 and launch before everyone else, or at least launch before Sony, to try to get an advantage somehow. Although I don't know why they would bother at this point. Given how violent ECW was and the influence it had, was ECW bad for the wrestling business? In some ways, yes. In other ways, no. Will you be picking up the Croc remaster? It was bad. No. I never liked the first Croc that much. And looking at the remaster, it doesn't really look that much improved over the original, so I don't really care. Given how... the thing with ECW is it made it to where so many matches were just people hitting each other with things in both both WCW and WWF trying to copy the hardcore craze. And, I feel it's fine to have a hardcore match here and there, but because of ECW, it became too frequent of a thing in both the other companies to the point where it didn't really matter anymore, and it kind of lost its specialness. So there were positives, but there were also negatives to what ECW brought to the table. HD consoles should last longer than 6 to 8 years. We're getting to the point where making games takes just as long as the machines. Well, that's because of the graphical fidelity and the amount of time it takes to make things that have that level of photographic fidelity. That's why it's important to have games like Astrobot, because they don't take that as long to develop because the graphics are not as sophisticated. 7, was the House of Usher with Vincent Price any good? Yes, it was. Almost anything with Vincent Price is good, just because he's in it. The movie can be absolute dog crap, but because Vincent Price is in it, it makes it watchable. Would you get a PS6 without a disc drive? If I didn't have a choice and I still wanted to play games at that point, but I wouldn't be happy about it. 7th, weird question, but do you think the sound of a pizza monster sounds more like a funny idea or a scary idea? I would try to eat it. Well, you don't have to imagine it. All you have to do is go watch Spaceballs, Ultra Steel, and you will see a pizza monster. His name was Pizza the Hut. from 8th. I heard GameStop is getting back into retro. Can't wait to see how overpriced they're going to make everything. Well, I saw a video, 8th, of somebody that went to one of these GameStops and looked at their retro section, and it was mostly stuff from the PS2 era and up. So, maybe it'd be worth us going back down to our local GameStop that wasn't even open when we visited it and see what they got going on. I think GameStop mostly stays alive through all of their little toys and knickknacks and stuff more than the actual games. That's what I think. Dun 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 dun. So how about it? Ultra Steel paid $50 for me to watch a movie tonight or over the weekend and review it. Chuck E. Cheese in the Galaxy 5000 is what I have to watch. Is there a particular video game that y'all want to watch me review? Because we're $95 away from making this a 6-hour stream. That would cover the cost of a new game at $69.99. What do y'all think? What would be a game y'all want me to review? Otherwise, I think Chris is going to be disappointed and we're not going to hit a 6-hour stream. Let's see here. Did you like Ozark? Is that a TV show? If it is, I didn't watch it. 7th, if Vincent Price was in The English Patient, would you have actually liked the film? That's a good question. That's a good question. I just liked listening to him talk. He had a very interesting voice. So I might have powered through it for Price to be in it if he was in it enough. And it wasn't just like, a 30-second walk-on or something. Yes, Sears is dead, but I never really shopped much at Sears anyway. Their video game section kind of sucked and it was overpriced. They never had sales. I know Vincent Price was the narrator in Michael Jackson's Thriller. I know that, Tokes. And he helped sell that video and make it the video that it was. I love Vincent Price. And I really loved him in Edward Scissorhands, even though he played a small part. I thought he was great in Edward Scissorhands as the inventor. Who do you prefer, Tom Hanks or Morgan Freeman? I mean, I did say it could just be gas. You did say that. You did say that. You did indeed say that. It's 9:14, folks. 45 minutes left. 45 minutes left. $45 to extend it by another hour. $95 to extend it to 6 hours like Chris wants. I like how the black light makes the buttons on my guitar thing glow. I think that's neat. I likes it a lot. So that in the back corner there, that is the retro game section. You can see the top of the CRT poking up over my futon there. So if 8th has friends that come over, or I have friends that come over and they want to play some NES or some Super NES or whatnot, and they don't want to do it through my handy-dandy Polymega over here, it can be set up over there, and they can have Retro Night right there on the old leather futon. I considered setting up the retro area in the garage instead and just having that area for more shelves. But I think I like better having it out here because to set it up in the garage would involve a lot of things that we talked about doing anyway, but I think 8th would rather have that space for something other than just a futon and a 20-inch TV for playing NES on. So we'll see what happens there. I mean, in the least, the air conditioner doesn't run in there. There's no venting for the AC in the garage. So we're going to have to buy some kind of a portable air conditioning unit to run in there for when we end up using it for whatever we're going to use it for, aside from the bar that's in there. I do want that 6-hour podcast, though. I think 7th should just do it out of the goodness of his heart because he loves us. Oh, but I can't do that. I can't do that. You know I can't do that. And you know why I can't do that. That's all right, Ultra Steel. I don't expect anyone to come in here and donate money like that. I don't expect that of any of y'all. Except maybe for Richard, but he stopped coming because he knows that I expect donations from him when he shows up. Richard hasn't been in here in weeks. I don't know what happened to Richard. I think he ran out of money, and he's embarrassed to come back in here because everyone thinks that he's rich and expects him to donate when he shows up. So he's just not coming in here. That, or he's one of the silent people, the silent 24 to 30 something people that have been watching tonight that hasn't asked a question because he doesn't want us to know he's watching. That's also a possibility. I mean, Billy was in here for 30 seconds and disappeared just as quickly. But Billy knows that I'm going to be tormenting him later. I'm going to show up on his stream, and I'm going to donate $2 and make him play the worst game I can think of, which is probably making him play Sword of Sodan again. What did you give the first Sin City movie out of 7? It was a 6. Didn't like the second one at all. Liked the original, though. When it comes to movies that were done in that style, what was that one that had, what was the name of that one that had Samuel Jackson playing a bad guy called the Octopus? What was the name of that one? I know people hate that movie, but I actually kind of like it. The Spirit. Yeah, I like that movie. For me, that's one of those so bad it's good type flicks. I've watched it several times. Is Sword of Sodan that bad? Never seen that. Yes. Sword of the Sodan is terrible. It's quite possibly the worst game of the 16-bit era. It's bad. Just so y'all know, I ain't rich neither. And I especially am not Review Tech USA rich either. Yeah. I appreciate you, Ultra Steel. I appreciate you. Especially considering the fact that I know where you work now. And so, $50 is a pretty big deal. So I appreciate it. I really do. And I will watch your Chuck E. Cheese movie. I will watch it. I just have to decide whether I'm going to do it as some kind of a Discord party thing, or if I'm going to do it as an actual video, or if I'm just going to review it here next week on the 7thCast so everyone can interact with me live about this movie. I'll have to decide on that. I will think on it once I've actually watched it. I will decide what I'm going to do once I've actually endured this thing that Ultra Steel has paid me to watch. Well, I saw the Phantom at the theater, Clean Frame. And, that one's not one of my favorites either, to be honest. But That was during the point where we were still living with the consequences of what Tim Burton's Batman film did for comic book movies. One of the ones that I actually like from that era is The Shadow. It's cheesy as hell, but I love that movie. I love Alec Baldwin in that role. I thought he was great as The Shadow. I loved it. And I loved Tim Curry in that movie. I loved his character too. That was fun. If you've never watched it, it's absolute like early 90s cheese, but it's fun early 90s cheese. It's better than The Phantom anyway. Seventh, is JTech TV mentally ill? I don't know that he's mentally ill, but I would guess with it's my opinion that he's probably moderately on the spectrum, I guess would be the nicest way I could put it. I'm surprised that Chuck E. Cheese still exists too. I'm surprised that they're still in business. Especially, post-pandemic. The fact that it still exists and there are parents that are willing to take their kids to a place that, is covered in snot most of the time is that's pretty interesting to me. And I'm not one of these. I'm not an anti-vaxxer, and I'm not one of these far left nut jobs that still goes everywhere wearing a mask. I don't wear gloves out in public. I don't wear masks out in public. When we go to the movie theater, we just it's back to the way it was as far as we're concerned. And yes, we got the original shots, but we have not been getting boosters for that. Not in a long time. We got the original shots and the first 2 boosters, and then we stopped, and haven't done any of it since. And yeah, but Chuck E. Cheese, that any Chuck E. You pick any Chuck E. Cheese in the United States, you're walking into a den of disease. If there was ever a time that you as a parent were going to get deathly sick from something other than what your child brought home from school, it's going to happen at a Chuck E. Cheese. Trust me on that. It's going to be flu, strep throat, ear infection, sinus infection, food poisoning, stomach flu. Take your pick. You're going home with something special if you go to a Chuck E. Cheese as an adult. I'm just saying. Do you think 1408 was a good film? Because I think it's one of John Cusack's best performances. It's okay. I wasn't that hot about either of the endings for it, but it's pretty good. What about Liam Neeson's superhero movies during that time? Those movies rock so hard. He only had one superhero movie, and that was Darkman. Darkman, and he was only in the first one. Liam Neeson was not in Darkman 2 or Darkman 3. Darkman 2 and Darkman 3 were made for video, and they replaced Liam Neeson with Arnold Vosloo, the guy who played the Mummy in the first 2 Mummy films. Chuck E. Cheese is still somewhat popular. There's one 30 minutes from me in Orlando. Strange. I like the masks. That way I don't have to pretend to be interested when people talk to me. You have a point there. I think the Five Nights game franchise helped Chuck E. Cheese gain more interest. That's an idea. That's a thought that hadn't occurred to me. Liam Neeson should have played Doctor Strange. That would have been interesting. Yes, that would have been an interesting casting. Chuck E. Cheese has the best. Chuck E. Cheese's pizza sucks, Tokes. Chuck E. Cheese's pizza isn't even as good as CC's Pizza Buffet. Now, when Chuck E. Cheese was Showbiz Pizza, they had good pizza. Chuck E. Cheese pizza is garbage. You have to drown it in Parmesan cheese to make it edible. That's why you have these huge Parmesan cheese dispensers at every table at Chuck E. Cheese, because that's the only way that it has taste. Without that, it tastes like cardboard. Did you like Days of Futures Past, and what were your favorite Wolverine films from the Fox era? I didn't like any of the Wolverine movies. I wasn't even a huge fan of Logan. I mean, it had a good ending, but it's not one of my favorite superhero movies. As far as my favorite films that had him playing Wolverine, probably X2. Seventh, thoughts on the Beetlejuice cartoon. I feel like it had more Beetlejuice in it than the original. Well, yeah, because Beetlejuice was only in the original movie for 17 minutes tops? He was a bit player. He was a bit character. But, in the series, it's all about him and Lydia having adventures in the Neither world. I have the entirety of Beetlejuice on DVD right behind me on those shelves, right over there. Thanks for the clarification. I was way younger than you when Darkman came out, so I barely remember the specifics. It's really more of a take on Phantom of the Opera in a way. But, because of how popular Batman was, they injected some superhero elements into it so it could kind of stand with one leg in horror and one leg in superhero genre. But he only was in the first one, and then the other two, it was Arnold Vosloo, and they were, direct to video, and I mean, they're passable, but they're not great. Never seen Logan. The trailer reminded me too much of the last. Yeah, I know. If you had to choose one Amazing Spider-Man 3 or Spider-Man 4, Toby. Oh, if I had to choose, would it be Amazing Spider-Man 3 or Spider-Man 4? Spider-Man 4. Tokes, I'm just speaking my truth. Chuck E. Cheese pizza is ass. I'm sorry. Don't be offended. I'm sorry. Do you think Beetlejuice should have been rated? No. Why would Beetlejuice be rated R? It was PG-13 because they're allowed one F-bomb. Nice effing model. That was their F-bomb. So they got a PG-13. If he had used the F word twice, then it would have been R. Chuck E. Cheese eventually replaced the original Rock of Fire explosion. I wonder what Showbiz Pizza tasted like. It tasted better than what Chuck E. Cheese tastes like now. Trust me. I was there, man. I was there. 30 minutes left. $45 away from another hour extension. I think, was Beetlejuice PG? I thought it was PG-13 because it has an F-bomb in it. If it's PG, it's like the first PG movie in the history of ever to have an F-bomb in it. Was Showbiz back in the day one of your favorite pizza? I didn't really go to Showbiz for the pizza. I went for the games. While the other kids were sitting in there watching the Rock of Fire explosion, I'd listen to the music in the background while I was playing games. I liked the pizza, but, my parents would have, my mom specifically, because my dad didn't go into Showbiz, my mom would have to make me sit down and eat a piece of pizza because I've didn't want to be pulled away from the game floor. You know, when I went to showbiz, I was there primarily for two things: to play the games and to either open presents for my birthday or watch some other kid open presents for his birthday and then turn right around and run back out to the games. That was it. Chinese versus Italian versus Mexican food. Which do you choose? Mexican. I mean, I eat Chinese and I like Italian, but Eighth and I tend to eat Mexican and Tex-Mex more than either of the other two. Did you like The Great Outdoorsman? Are you talking about the Dan Aykroyd and John Candy movie, The Great Outdoors? Otherwise, I don't know what you're talking about. 7th, no rat pizza offense taken. Okay. He didn't use the F-bomb in a sexual way. That's why they got away with it. I'm shocked that the original is PG, because it doesn't matter whether it's sexual or not. The rule has always been if there's one F-bomb, it's PG-13. If there's more than one F-bomb, it's R. That's been the rule since like the 80s. So that shocks me. 7th, how do you like fried chicken and pizza? I've never had those two things at the same time. When it comes to fried chicken, I'm kind of old-fashioned. I'd mostly go for KFC extra crispy. Although now that I'm here in Texas, I also like Golden Chick extra crispy. I will not buy a digital-only PS6. PS5 will probably be the last console for me. I can dig that. 7th, I heard that Aaron Fetcher is working on a Rock of Fire Explosion video game. I don't know if that interests you. It doesn't interest me. If it played anything like Five Nights, maybe 8th would care about it, because he was a fan of Five Nights at Freddy's. But 7th, do you remember your favorite legendary weapon from Borderlands 2? Can't remember the name of it. Can't remember that. Oh, that was for 8th. That wasn't for me. Now, in the original Borderlands, I can remember my favorite weapon in it. I was playing online, and somebody hopped into my game, and we did a few levels, and he said, "Here, I'm going to drop you something." And he dropped something, and there was nothing there, but there was a marker saying there was something there. And I picked it up, and it just said it was a pistol, and it was invisible. I couldn't see it, so it was just a hand holding nothing. But when I fired it at anything, it did 99,999 damage, and was infinite ammo. So I could basically just run through any area I wanted and insta-kill everything, including bosses. So if I had a friend who was having trouble beating the game, and it was taking them forever to level up, I'd invite them into my game, and I would take them over to where Cromarax the Invincible was, and I'd tell them to stand down in the lobby area right next to the elevator, and I'd go up the elevator without them, and I would kill Cromarax in like 30 seconds, then come back downstairs, and they'd level up and go level up, level up, level up, level up, level up. And so I'd have them come in and come out a couple of times and kill Cromarax a couple of times until they got to max level. I did that for several people back in the day. And it was all because of this gun that somebody just randomly gave me. I don't remember who it was that gave it to me. It was just some random person that got invited into my game. And, they dropped it and said, "Here, have this. I had fun." I was like, "Okay, thanks." Not knowing what it was they gave me until later. Chinese food keeps you coming back because you get hungry again half an hour. True. Do you think Black Ops 2 was the best Call of Duty? I'm not the right person to ask that. I hate Call of Duty. I remember that gun in Borderlands 1. It was a glitched gun. I think it was patched later on. I don't know. The last time I booted up Borderlands for PS3 several years ago, the gun was still there and it still worked. It was still in my inventory. I don't know if it would be now, but it still did its job. Seventh, when was the last time a game made you feel melancholic like it was Christmas? Off the top of my head, I can't think of one, man. The Unkept Herald is the only reason I made it to level 72 in an Ultimate Treasure run. I don't know if I had that gun. Do you like Halo? Not especially. I liked the first 2 games. Didn't like anything that came after the first 2. Bloodborne Remaster. Sony, no one enjoy Last of Us Part 1.5 remake. $100, please. Yeah, I don't know why there's so many people that want that remaster of Bloodborne. I don't know why they don't do it. I don't know why they don't do it. When there's such a demand for it. But they keep re-releasing crap nobody wants. They patched it out of the remastered version. Oh, okay. Okay. That makes sense. That makes sense. Sorry about that. I had a twinge in my back. Oh, wait. Hey. Somebody need to donate $45 or I'm going to expose and spoil all of 8's Christmas presents. Here it comes. Oh, hold up. There it was. It was almost there. Got a whole stack of stuff here. Oh, no. I think my feeling was just gas, 7th. Maybe you're right. Everybody just wanted 1 extra hour out of me this weekend, I guess. All right then. That's fine. I see how y'all are. Everybody stopping that. Are you going to stop asking questions for the last 20 minutes too? Because we got 20 minutes to go. 20 minutes to go and $45 short. Did you play Penny's Big Breakaway? No, I have not played that. Because that would require me to purchase it. And I haven't purchased it. You know, I was given a review code for Iron Meat. I haven't been given a review code for Penny's Big Breakaway. You know what I'm saying? And let me tell you how much I like Iron Meat and how much Sarge liked Iron Meat. I pre-ordered the physical version, even though I already had the game for free. That's how much I like it. So if you haven't played Iron Meat and you're a fan of Contra games, go buy Iron Meat. 7th, did you like Blade Runner 2049? I think it was underrated. Yes, I did. I enjoyed it very much. 8th did too. 7th, for me, one game that reminds me of happy Christmas memories was the original Super Mario Galaxy. I know the Wii was a fad, but we all still had some good memories here and there with it, right? Well, you know, that wasn't one that I got for Christmas, though. That wasn't one that I got for Christmas. If anything, my nostalgia for video gaming with Christmas would be when I got my first 2600. Because by the time Nintendo became a thing, I was making my own money mowing grass. So I wasn't getting Nintendo stuff for Christmas. I was buying it on my own. I made $20 every time I cut somebody's grass. So I was cutting several yards throughout the summer and making money, and that's how I bought my NES. That's how I bought several of the games I had for NES, was from cutting grass. Seventh, have you seen the 80s horror movie called The Curse? Did that have Will Wheaton in it? Or am I thinking of something else? No, I haven't played Ghost Runner 1 or 2. 8th has, but I haven't. Is Iron Meat a porn game? No, it's not. It's an homage to Contra, a Contra clone, if you would, but a very, very good one. In fact, it's better than the actual new Contra game that came out, the Operation Beluga or whatever the heck it's called, that it's better than it. Do you make exceptions to your physical-only rule when it comes to indie games? If it doesn't have a physical edition, and I know it's something that I'm really going to want to play, I will buy the digital version, yes. And I have done in the past. I have several hundred digital games for PS4 and PS5. Because these are games that never got a physical release. I don't like it, but I will do it to support devs that I think earned it. 7th, you know I like Stephen King, but do you prefer the Kubrick film of The Shining over King's original story version of it? Yes and no. There are things I like better about the book, and there are things I like better about the movie. Sorry, that's not a definitive answer, but it's the truth. $15 minutes left, folks. 15 minutes left. Yeah, I agree with 8th on that one. I think the Dr. Sleep movie was better than the Dr. Sleep book. It had a much more satisfying ending than the book did. And I think the way he blended elements from the books with Kubrick's movie was really good too. See anything interesting from TGS? Has TGS happened yet? I didn't think it happened yet. I'm not into VR all that much. 8th is. I'm drinking a Coke. I thought you should know that. Okay. Well, enjoy your Coke. I can only drink soda of the zero variety. And even then, I can't drink it regularly because if I drink it too often, I'll get kidney stones. There's a chemical in those zero sodas that my kidneys don't like. Tokyo Game Show just happened, more or less. Think it's still going for another day or so. Not much going on. I haven't watched any of it. Did you watch The Last of Us Season 2 trailer? No. But then again, I didn't watch Season 1. I watched one episode of it, and I'm like, nope! Turned it off. 7th, you should get a Diet Coke and put in... Don't you realize who you're talking to and how old this person is? My generation are the generation that made bombs out of Drano and empty Pepsi bottles. So it didn't just spew Coke in the air. It blew shards of glass 20 feet in every direction. That's my generation, son. 7th, what sucks about the Dr. Sleep movie, though, is it didn't do well box office-wise. I think it was because of the marketing. Maybe. I liked it. I used to drink soda all the time, cut back to a case every 2 weeks. There was a time when I could drink 12 in a day. I did too. That's how I figured out that drinking zero sugar sodas would give me kidney stones, because I was drinking several of them a day back when I worked third shift. Now, the zero sugars use something different than aspartame. They don't even use NutraSweet. They use something totally different. And whatever it is that's in that stuff, your kidneys don't, or at least my kidneys don't handle it very well. And so I was getting like a kidney stone every 3 weeks. And finally I was like, something's got to be going on here. What's different? And I realized that I was drinking a 6-pack of Coke Zero every night. And I was like, maybe that's what the issue is. And so I stopped drinking Coke Zero, and I haven't had a kidney stone since. Or at least I stopped drinking as much of it as I had been drinking. Thoughts on Disney's Hunchback of Notre Dame? I like that movie. It's got excellent music in it, too. And I've never drank, Red Bull, Monster, any of that stuff because it's bad for your heart. And, I need my heart to last as long as humanly possible. Yeah, I don't know how you've never had a kidney stone either if you're drinking that much carbonated fluid. I don't know, man. I don't know. They're not pleasant, I'll tell you that. I've never had to go to the emergency room and have one yanked out of me, but I have passed several, and it's not fun. It's like the worst bladder infection you've ever had. Times 11.